All right, guys, welcome to the live well here at Fish North Georgia, brought to you by Digital Sportsman. And I'll be talking a little bit more about Digital Sportsman here in a second. So glad you guys could join us tonight. We're just going to have like a real fun show tonight. We're going to talk about, of course, summertime baits, specifically for July. What are the best bass baits and techniques? And we appreciate you guys joining us. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you click that like and subscribe button, hit that notification bell, all the stuff the cool kids do, like Tim and Tony. Tim and Tony. But really, we were just I was sitting here at the shop today thinking, just, what would be just a good conversational thing that we all can talk about? And of course, the best baits for summertime bass fishing popped into my head. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. Now, guys, I mentioned about Digital Sportsman. First of all, we appreciate them coming on. The live well is brought to you by Digital Sportsman. And over the next week or so like that, you're going to see a few changes here. But just to kind of give you a brief overview on Digital Sportsman, it's going to be a new booking platform. They're going to go live right around ICAST, right shortly after ICAST. We're going to be down there with them at ICAST. And it's going to be a place where if you're a consumer, you can book your favorite guides, get trips, and you can do it all in one place. And if you are a guide, it's going to be a good place for you to actually get on board with it, where people can book your trips. And it's seamless for you. Digital waivers, scheduling, all kinds of things. So over the next few weeks, you're going to see us really kind of give you an oversight on what Digital Sportsman is. But I'm telling you right now, it's going to be jammed up. So we appreciate those guys at Digital for joining us. Now, let's go ahead and take care of the rest of our sponsors. And, of course, we always start with Trent and the guys over at Sonar Pro, 770-530-4505, the official sonar installer of the live well. Guys, we say it, we're watching all these pros. Hey, this is where they take their boat. And if you want it done right, you go to Trent and the guys over at Sonar Pros. You go elsewhere, that's fine, but you're going to end up taking it to Trent to get it fixed. And then, of course, Kevin Underwood with Lipsticker Fishing, 678-459-8419, Kevin at lipstickerfishing.com. Check out his Patreon, patreon.com/lipstickerfishing. And now, guys, listen, we see it all the time on Facebook, Megalodon spotted bass. But as a little treat for you guys, next Friday on his Patreon Live, yours truly, I will be fishing with Kevin on his live. So I'm bringing that entertainment factor so y'all guys can see how bad I fish. But anyway, it's going to be a lot of fun, and we appreciate Kevin. Now, the best rod sleeve on the market, as always, is Evolve Fishing. Got all the things you want in a rod sleeve. They protect it. They float. But the best thing about it is you can chunk them things in your rod locker no matter what you got on there. Those hooks are not going to stay in there. These are not those Chinese finger trap rod sleeves. It is the best. You can check them out here at Fish North Georgia or go to evolvefishing.com. And, of course, I always talk about the Money Saver Lure Retriever, Richard Key. He's with the NPFL. This is his product. He's fishing. And, listen, we spend a ton of money on baits. You might as well be able to get it back. And this little torpedo will shoot through the water, and its design is perfect to where it doesn't, like a cheap one. Cheap ones bounce into the wood. This thing will go right over that, get right on your bait and get it back. So we appreciate Richard and the guys at the Money Saver Lure Retriever. And then again, the legend on Allatoona, Mr. Bill Payne, 706-280-2305. Allatoona bass trips, Allatoona sonar trips, seasonal smallmouth. He does electronic trips that I really want to express because we're going into the summertime. Going to get in these deep bass fishing. We might talk about that tonight. You want somebody that can set up your stuff the way it should be, and Mr. Payne can do that. So, again, give him a call, 706-280-2305. Then the young gun, one of my favorite guys in all of fishing, Brooks Anderson Fishing. Check him out at brooksandersonfishing.com. Go to his YouTube, Brooks Anderson Fishing, for some really good content. But the best thing about it is Lake Lanier spotted bass, how to catch them, where they're at, why they're there. And if you got a youngin', hey, he's absolutely exceptional with the young angler. So check him out. Book a trip with him today. And then we got our buddies, Fishers of Hope. We love these guys. It's a nonprofit. They glorify God by doing the work. Okay, you guys that go to church, and I'm a heathen that goes to church. A lot of people go to church on Sunday, and they don't take it with them on Monday through Saturday. These people do by giving back to the community, throwing tournaments to help people in need. Check them out on Facebook, Fishers of Hope. Or if you want to email them and talk to them more, fishersofhopeministry@gmail.com. And Tony Watkins, if you're watching, I'm going to be tying your jigs tomorrow. Yeah, I'm going to get that. I'm going to be tying them tomorrow. And then we got Big League Fishing, straight down a couple right there. Tim, go down 3 right there. Straight down the middle. I ain't redone it yet. I got to redone it to make it easy for you guys. Robert Blesky of the NPFL, Big League Charters out of Knoxville, Tennessee, 239-877-6479. Tellico, Fort Loudon, Watts Bar, Chickamauga. And I tell you, the good thing about Rob, he's a very patient guy, and you're going to have a good time, not only learning more about these lakes and how to fish, but just enjoying the day with Rob like that. He's one of my favorite anglers, and he's a good friend of us here at Fish North Georgia. So if you're in that Tennessee area, book a trip with him. Get to fish with a pro. And, of course, behind us, we got our buddies at Turner Tire here in Jasper, Georgia, 706-253-3339. I can move my – I always get messed up. Move my shoulder or my chair's in the way.
Just go opposite.
Hey, I know it. I got to do it. I always forget that with the camera. Guys, listen. Tires, Alignment, great family company. Brock's a fisherman just like us. They will treat you with that family kind of atmosphere, and they'll get you in and out in a hurry. So we appreciate those guys. And if you want to advertise your company in front of some of the most loyal viewers in the market right there, you can advertise right here, and we will see what we can do for you to put your product out there to get you more business, get you more awareness, as we talked about Tuesday night. Just email me, Danny@fmgo.com, and we will figure out something that will help you grow your business. So we appreciate all of our sponsors. So tonight with me, I got Tony to my right. Let's go to my right first, Mr. Tony right there. And then Tim over there in the thing. And listen, first of all, you guys did a hell of a job while I was out. I got to tell the guys the other night, but you guys really do hold down the fort. And it's very good for me personally to know that if I'm going out filming, doing something like that, that you guys keep it rolling and do a good job. And the people love you guys.
Yeah, well, good.
Y'all ain't as good looking as I am, but the people love you. We can't help with the looks, but, you know, they do a good job. But seriously, you guys do great. I want to personally I got to thank the guys the other night, and I get to thank you guys. So appreciate what you guys do. Now, in the comment section, we got you guys out there, and I'm just going to say hello to everybody. Put up Mendelberg right there.
Right off the bat.
Right off the bat. Been catching some drop shot and Berkeley Credge here on Murray.
Mm.
All right, there we go. So, and a gentleman wear Michael Lewis right there. But yeah, every gentleman wear, I like that. Father Time's in the house. DP Fishing Misadventures. I love it right there. So, and Philip Hunt, pull up Philip. There you go. So Father Time right there. So evening, currently prepping for Logan Martin in 2 weeks for the World Police and Fire Games tournament. Ooh, there you go. Got some competition.
Did that at Lanier this last week.
They're
my buddy.
it's the Armed Forces Fishing League.
Okay.
They throw on and they do that. So, you know, you guys would be able to qualify for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Y'all should go fish it. Why don't y'all?
We might do that one.
I honestly didn't even think about it.
You should. Yeah. Doc Holiday, Alex, what's up? Atlanta Outdoors. So anyway, here's what we're going to do. At 8:20, right about 8:20, in about 10 minutes, Big Al from the NPFL is going to join us for a few minutes, kind of give us an update on what's going on Lake Eufaula out in Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. And so we'll talk to him. But tonight's topic is the best baits for July. And guys, the whole point of this is for all of us to work together because it gets hot. Fishing can get tough. And so all of us, you guys in the comment and us, we're all going to learn from each other tonight about the best baits and techniques that we use when it gets really hot, when that water starts going up. You know, we're going to. Can't hear Tony? Speak louder, Tony.
Can't hear me?
Can you? I think he's going to have to get up on that mic.
I got it right there on my chest.
Yeah. You got to talk loud, big dog.
Know.
Well, I'm probably blasting everybody because I talk loud. But anyway, so
I have to change chairs.
You might have to. Eric Foster. Hey, Georgia boys, love your show. Checking in from Shenandoah Valley in Virginia.
There we go.
Hell yeah. Boy, I like my northern friends right there. So appreciate you doing that. Now, you guys in the comments, so we want you guys to kind of help out too tonight because we want to know what you guys are throwing and what you plan on throwing. So when I talk best baits in July, for me personally, I would say it gears more towards fishing at night on the big lakes.
Right.
Lanier, you can't get in there. You can't fish it. You got all the pleasure boaters out there. The people that make Lanier famous for, let's say, being haunted. You know, there's a reason it's haunted with stupidity and all that.
Yeah.
But
that goes through my house every time I talk about Lanier. My daughter's like, it's haunted. I'm like, y'all quit that crap.
Yeah, I know. And for anybody watching that's not in the North Georgia area, it's not haunted. No. It's just cursed with people that don't get on the lake and shouldn't be on the lake.
Right.
And the fat guys like me that are in their 50s that say, hey, I can swim out to that island. Yeah, you might have could when you were 18, 19. But Father Time has a way of catching up with you right there.
It ain't the ghost that grabs you. It's that lack of physical fitness that grabs you.
100%.
That's what gets you.
100%. So I'm going to start up topwater Nico shaky head jig. Alex says, well, I'm going to pull this out. This is a Georgia Blade nighttime spinnerbait. All right, guys. So when I'm going to start it out with the easy one because everybody throws big spinner baits at night. So we'll start off with this one. And I believe this is I forget the name of it, but it's the one that it's like support the cops or something like that. There's a name, Back to Blue. Yeah. I think this is the Back to Blue right there. But a lot of guys will throw big nighttime spinner bait, get a big Colorado blade, throw it out on the bottom, thump, 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 thump. But what was interesting, I'm thinking this is what I think of with nighttime spinner baits. But when we had Baron Adams of the NPFL on a couple of weeks ago, he was talking about throwing a big old monster kind of worm.
Right.
Which not a lot of people do. Eddie J in the comment says, big spoons on Russell and Hartwell.
Yeah.
Makes sense because you're going down deep after them. Pull up Philip Hutchinson. Well, and guys, if I miss a question or comment, because we're just going to talk tonight, make sure you type it again. How do y'all think the heat next week is going to affect the fishing? Supposed to be mid-90s. First of all, I'll let these guys answer that because they're on the water more than me, but I can tell you who it's going to affect the most, and that's you.
That's exactly where I was going to say. You're
hydrate.
For the first week, I don't think you're going to see much change in the fishing from this week.
Right.
Except for that you're going to be sweating and dying in that heat.
It is.
The fishing's going to stay. I think it's going to stay pretty much the same, especially with all the rain we're getting. They're going to pull water. They're going to do the things that they're supposed to do, and the fish are going to bite. We get next month, maybe a different story.
When we get in the dog days.
Yeah, we get in the dog days, it's going to change.
When we get in the dog days. But I can tell you as a healthy individual, that the heat sucks.
Oh, yeah.
It does.
Sucks. And I'm one of those guys, especially if I'm fishing a tournament, and some of you guys out there might be like me. I can't sleep the night before a tournament.
No.
And it doesn't matter. I know I'm going to lose. I know I'm going to donate, but I can't sleep. And so I'm up all night long, retying, watching some crap on TV. Just because, first of all, I know if I go to bed at 2 o'clock in the morning, my ass ain't going to get up and I'm going to be late. So I just stay up all night. So I don't help myself. But you do that in the middle of summer.
Mm-hmm. That's one of the forms of performance anxiety.
Do you think I got performance anxiety?
Well, there are many forms, but that's one of them.
Well, if we ask Mrs.
I'm sorry.
No,
I think we're talking about the wrong staying up all night, Tim.
That's the thing about it. Now. If Miss Pruitt would help me out with my performance anxiety, I might go to sleep before a tournament.
I wish she'd have stayed here for that one because I'd probably had to hit the mute button.
I should have told her to stay since we had an empty chair tonight. Y'all, I love my wife, but boy, she's a
pistol.
She roasts him on a regular basis.
Pistol's a good way to say it.
She's a pistol.
I like it. She's spunky.
Hey, there you go.
She's spunky. But again, so number one, we talk about ourselves. Even before we get to the baits, first of all, is how you take care of yourself during this. And I do a terrible job. So what you two guys, let's start off here in the summertime. What's your routine do you have a routine before you get out on the water in the summer? Like, I got to drink water. I got to do this because I do everything that's totally unhealthy.
I drink water all the time. It's my favorite thing to drink is water. I mean, I guzzle just, I guess, military training, drink water all the time anyway. So,
right.
But when I get on the water, that's when I get stupid and forget to do. I don't eat, I don't drink. And then I weigh myself before the tournament or before a day of fishing. Afterwards, I've lost 5 or 6 pounds every time.
Oh yeah,
just
for sure.
Because of the stupidity on the water, not drinking or eating like I should. So
yeah.
Beforehand, I'm usually hydrated and all that good stuff. And but I'm like you, I don't sleep much anyway. So I'll be up till midnight rigging, and I'll go. I'm gonna lay down for an hour. For what? I mean,
yeah, I know, right?
I mean, for what? But yeah, so that part of it's not healthy. And then of course the Red Bull first thing in the morning and a cup of coffee. That's.
Are you not peeing like crazy about 8 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah, and it's more yellow than that Spro sign. But I mean, I
get it. For sure, I get it.
Yeah.
Coleman Jones, liquid IV powder packs are really good this time.
Exactly.
Is that what you do, Tim?
Yeah, I urge everybody keep plenty of water, but Tony will tell you, from our background, water sometimes won't cut it. Get you liquid IV. Even the Dollar General sells little bitty packs of flavored stuff that's got electrolytes in it, and they're perfect for one of these bottles of water about yay size right here. Chug you one of those every so often, and you will literally feel better in just a few minutes.
Yeah, water won't hydrate you once you're dehydrated fast enough.
It won't replenish.
You lose too many minerals and salts and stuff like that. I always buy 2 Gatorades. So if nothing else, I'll at least drink a Gatorade, but even then, I'm still guilty of not doing it.
All right, let's go to the comment section. Alex Purrs, offshore nutrition hydration sticks. Philip Hutchinson, LMT packets are awesome. And good old Ron, we know Ron's going to give us like the proper way to do things.
Let's see what Ron.
Let's see what Ron says. Day before, drink the damn day before. Drink a bunch of water. On the water, drink water. Don't eat much. After you're done fishing, eat a big salad. Helps your system really well.
Right. And you should not be drinking water. Like he said, day before, the saying I was always taught, you need to be hydrated 48 hours before.
Yeah.
You know, you need to be hydrated 48 hours before, because 24 to, that day of the tournament is not the time you're not going to hydrate right.
All right. For the rest of you guys that are like me, six Busch or Coors Light. I'm just joking, but honestly, a lot of guys don't think about that. And I'm the world's worst because my diet consists of Copenhagen, Pepsi Zero, Slim Jims, an Adderall, and, my blood pressure medicine like that. So no wonder, and I don't sleep. So no wonder I don't feel it. So I'm probably not the one to take advice
You're
from.
kind of speedballing right there.
Yeah.
Uppers and downers at the same time.
You know what we used to do when I did heat in there? Every morning we always had the same breakfast: a Mountain Dew and 2 Goody powders. We called it a Coke and a dope.
Yeah.
And listen, I'm telling you, until lunchtime you was good. Now the crash was a little tough, but 5-hour energies. You guys in the comment section, in all seriousness, what do you do? Because like Coleman says, I start drinking about a gallon a day, starting 4 days before the tournament.
It's not a bad plan.
Damn, Coleman.
It don't take long for this heat to get you, though.
No.
I mean, you're standing on the front of a boat. I start noticing small mistakes or things that I'll do that I wouldn't normally do just from the sun and the heat draining you.
Yeah.
And if you pay attention, you'll start noticing that. And that's a sign that you're already getting to that dangerous, if you're making small mistakes up on the front, it's not hard to go over the side or something.
It's not.
Crazy.
And I should do better, because when I was doing construction one day, I felt like I was having a heart attack one time. And my wife, if she was here, she'd be raising hell at me. But I went to the hospital thinking I was having a heart attack.
Mm-hmm.
Got in there. $800 later or something, I found out I was dehydrated.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it does happen. But at the same time, again, I'm guilty of it. I just don't like water.
Yeah. And Greenback Tactical Hunters there, you're talking about dipping somebody. That's my guilty thing too, is I'm the same way.
Dipping dehydrates you.
Absolutely.
Caffeine dehydrates
Yep.
you.
Listen, though. Okay, but you got a choice with me. I can be dehydrated with a dip, or I can be just a raging Napoleon, without it. So, I get it. Doc Holliday says alcohol dehydrates. Coleman is right.
Yep.
Yeah, but it's so much fun. Tyler Outdoors, what's going on, fellas? How you doing, buddy? Lip sticker.
What's up?
Guys, I told you, next Friday, going to be on the boat with him. It's going to be live. You better join his Patreon. We're going to have fun. Going to have fun. Jeffrey Johnson, I don't drink water. Danny knows why. Yeah, you tell the story in there. Pedialyte. Impossible to fish without a dip. I know it. And there was a guy in here the other day who is a salesman for a tobacco company. And I was like, what's up, Far Dog from Southeast Oklahoma? I was like, and if kids are watching, don't dip, don't smoke. Let's get that out of the way. But if you're like us and you do it, it's my one guilty pleasure. Tobacco companies can't advertise.
That's right.
They can't advertise. Good Lord, I'd love to have a Copenhagen sponsorship.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so first of all, first thing we want to do is prepare ourselves. Prepare ourselves. You guys, prepare yourselves. You do a good job of that. Now, we get on the water, okay? Let's say it's July. Let's go right in the middle of July. Let's say we can take this Saturday. It's going to be in the 90s. It's going to be in the 90s. What would you guys start off doing early in the morning? What would be your best technique to catch bass July, hot summer, sticky day? What would you start, Tony?
We just talking numbers, or are we talking just whatever?
Either or,
right,
whatever you want to do.
Over at Wedowee, what I do over there is typically you look at your generation schedule, and I'll time it because they generate early in the morning, or they did last year. So I go right offshore stuff because I've got a few spots out there that I know fish are sitting on, and I start cranking.
You like to crank?
I like to crank. If they're on those spots, it's every day you can go out to those spots, catch 4 or 5 fish. Now, when they stop generating, they stop biting. But that was last year how I figured out more of the offshore game was just go out there and cranking before I did any drop shot and anything else.
That's a lot. Something a lot of people don't crankbait at all.
Yep.
Tyler Outdoors is tuning in from South Georgia. I love listening to you guys. Well, we love you being here listening, man. Buddy.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thanks. All right. So that makes sense. But crankbait, here we think rock crawler in the wintertime.
Yeah.
Tim, what's your first thing? And you guys in the comment section, first day, July, hot. First part of the day. What do you guys do? And we'll read up some of your comments right there as well. But Tim, what do you do first thing in the middle of the summer?
If I'm over there in the swamp next to Alabama, probably gonna start throwing a buzz bait early right next to grass lines, catch the roamers.
Buzz bait
in the grass, or burning the grass lines with it, or hell back in it. I'll throw a buzz bait in that grass or a spinner bait.
Now,
I'm not talking about cheese mats. Now we're not talking Gunnersville.
no Gunnersville
or
cheese mats and all that.
Different scenario, but like water willow, like on Weiss or over in the Coosa River system.
Yeah.
Start burning that buzz bait.
Before I comment on them guys, pull up Brad Owens right there. Mr. Brad. Hey, I don't know if you remember, but this morning I came into your store with my son. We bought some worms, but anyways, already love the content.
Yeah.
Glad
Buddy,
to have
welcome to the family.
Yep.
Welcome to the family, and I appreciate it, and you guys are welcome. And any of you guys, if you're ever in the store area before a show on a Tuesday or Thursday night, you're always welcome to hang in there. And just like these guys will figure, hell, if we got an empty chair, I'll throw you on the show.
Yeah.
That's how it works around here.
This pirate crew will Shanghai you quick.
We will. So Eddie Hudson, Sexy Dog or Spook, first thing in the morning.
Not a bad
Steve
plan.
Titsworth, appreciate you joining us, bud. That's one of our Tennessee buddies right there. Buzzbait.
Yep.
Ron Swinford, Buzzbait or walking topwater and then a swim jig or chatterbait. And listen, Bill, he's in the house from Virginia. Appreciate you joining us. I will murder your last name. So, Tony, you pronounce his last name.
Pertuli?
Paratelli.
Paratelli?
Paratuli. Bill, tell us if we're even close, buddy. Hey, listen.
Dang,
Bill P.
Danny, I'm impressed. I think you got it.
Yeah, you probably got
I think you have.
Well, you know what that is? That's like 2 weeks in Puerto Rico learning how to roll them R's and stuff like that,
That
baby.
explains it.
But what's funny is, let's see, Eric Foster. Let me read these two comments, and then I'm going to comment on what you guys are. Guys, I downsized my Megabass Pop Max to a Megabass Pop X. Makes a huge difference. I've caught some nice beauties. Philip says, there's Spooky in the AM. Whopper Plopper from Lipsticker and George Certainty cranks them. Strike King 6 and 10 XDs. What's interesting is, now again, Weedowie or Weedowie, as you like to call it incorrectly. You go offshore, you're in the swamp, you're in some thick stuff. So 2 different lakes.
2 different critters, yeah.
2 different critters.
Well,
topwater and all that. But it is interesting because even in the comment section, all these guys are going to be fishing a different lake.
And it was, so I like fishing shallow. I like fishing in this last weekend, I did it with the walking topwater first thing in the morning and wore them out, and then I went deep. But trying to learn the offshore game, that cranking, I knew when they were pulling that water, those fish. So for me, it was to go catch fish right away.
Yeah,
I knew that was going to work, and that's why I did the offshore that early in the morning. We're talking before daylight, going out to these spots and cranking them.
But you had to have the current.
You had to have the current to get the crankbait bites. Otherwise, you were drop shotting them.
So George Thornton up there, because you're cranking too. Is yours current related? Which is interesting. Now, yours definitely ain't current related.
No,
yours is just the kind of cover.
Just that's what the fish live in. That's what they got.
That's what they got.
Closer to the river, you do got a little bit of current, but it's not that overwhelming.
I got you. It makes sense. So a lot. What's up, T. Toms? A lot of the guys in there, Mendel Bird, Chartreuse Fluke, or Chrome Cane Walker, cycle between the two. And
Cane Walker, man, I love that thing.
It is a very good bait. It is a very good bait. But okay, so basically, though, if you read in the comment section and what you guys are saying, even though you're cranking and you did it with the current, but it was specific because you knew they had current,
right?
But a lot of guys in the comment section is topwater.
Yeah.
Everybody's going with some form of topwater or in the upper water column because a fluke, I still consider a fluke topwater. I know a lot of people don't, but I do. So first thing in the morning, you're going for those bass that are roaming before the sun gets up. You're out there on offshore, but knowing that they're out there feeding because of the current.
Yep.
And I do something a little bit different. And I should probably throw topwater, and I don't. I love getting a scrounger with a big old fluke and almost slow cranking it like you do.
Yeah.
Cranking a little bit. But like if I'm on Latham or something, and you guys that are fishing against me this Saturday, don't listen to this, but I'll go find some underwater structure before the sun gets up on a shady bank, and I'll throw that scrounger, especially if it's deeper.
Yeah.
We're talking 15, 20 foot.
Yep.
And I'll slow roll that scrounger through there, and you'd be surprised at the active largemouth at that point in time. But I've tried topwater first thing in the morning. I haven't had near the luck, and I'm more of a buzzbait guy.
Yeah.
So, Tony, if you were off, let's just say you knew they weren't going to be pulling current.
Yep.
What would you do?
So, West Point this last weekend.
Yeah, and Philip, I think, asked, was Tony on Lanier doing that, or
I was on Weedowie, Philip.
Weedowie.
Yeah, Weedowie. I was on Weedowie doing that with the current. But this last Saturday, I went to West Point, and I hadn't been to West Point since probably November. I hated that lake. I went shallow immediately. I went into a creek arm shallow, started off with a buzzbait, throwing the buzzbait in places they should have been biting if they're going to bite a buzzbait. Nothing. I heard a fish blow up, picked up the cane walker, and the rest of the morning until about 9:30 was nothing but. Now, getting a lot of rollers, the largemouth with T-bone it, the spots were just swiping at it, but I caught a few of the spots too. But yeah, so depends on where I'm going, what lake I'm going. If I know they're pulling or not pulling, I'm changing that game up. So
I got you. I
like topwater typically first thing in the morning. I mean, obviously, but I think
no, it makes sense. But now somebody up in the comment section when he was talking about that mini max and that was a popper, right? Wasn't he talking about the popper style bait?
I think that's what those are.
Which was going to my next question. How come you guys and nobody in the thing is talking about throwing poppers first thing in the morning?
So I was catching them on the cane walker. A buddy of mine that was in a tournament was catching them on poppers. So he's like, dude, you would have hooked up on more spots had you had the poppers. I was like, yeah, but I'm catching 3 pound largemouth. So I didn't care, on the cane walker. So yeah, I mean, it kind of, you just got to kind of read the fish. I mean, like I said, all those ones that were sharking the cane walker, the next day I went back, Sunday I went back and threw the popper and immediately picked up fish that I wouldn't have caught.
Okay.
Saturday, so.
Yeah, if you're going somewhere there's a lot of spots, get you a little popper or something like that. I don't know why it seems to irritate them more.
You think so?
I think so. I think it just ticks them off and they come up and slam it.
Look at Atlanta Outdoors, a Spro pop, and that's the popper I throw.
Yeah. Can't go wrong with it. You can even walk that thing.
Philip likes walking the dog with spooks. Now, Ron Swinford says, speaking of poppers, pull up. Let's see. I got them right there. Poppers are when you find a few, but in dirty water, I start with a popper almost every time. So he goes with a popper more than staying to dirty water, which makes some sense.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he's over on Lake Weiss and all that crap like you like to fish. Right. It's hard to find dirty water in North Georgia around here. Unless you get a lot of rain on Allatoona and the creeks, unless you get a lot of rain. So, but that's kind of interesting. I mean, how about that? Dirty water versus clear water first thing in the morning in the heat. Does it make a difference? And Thornton throws a Carolina rig and a biffle bug. Hey, there you go. Yep. Carolina. But first thing in the morning, Kevin, you start off with that Carolina rig. So that's kind of interesting. But how much does water clarity even factor into?
It definitely plays a key for me.
But you're before dark.
Well,
like with your cranking. So do you still just do that?
Well, that's if I want to go out there and know I can catch fish on the spot. That's what I'm talking about, going out there and cranking. I know these spots. I know they got brush on it or old brush on it. I know the fish are going to be sitting there. So to get that catching and learning the offshore, I'd go out there every day. Or every day I was off.
You're not searching. You already got a scope.
You already know they're there. I'm just going to fish. I'm going to catch fish.
I got you.
Now, if I'm in a tournament, I'm going shallow 99% of the time, first thing in the morning, no matter what. And if it's dirty water, I'm looking for that. I'm looking for those spots where those largemouth are going to be hunkered down, or spots even.
There you go.
That way.
Pull up Steven Sturgeon right up there. Another boy from out of town. The wildlife area I fish in Illinois is a marsh, so the vegetation demands the buzz toad along the edges. Later in the day, I focus on trying to get them to blow up through the pads.
Yeah.
Ain't that crazy? He's in Illinois and he's talking about pads.
Yeah.
We think pads around here. We're South Georgia.
They actually have those up there.
They do.
They got grass in their lakes. They got everything.
I know, right? And I'm sitting there thinking like, wow. Yeah, I know. I think like we're the only place in the world that has that stuff. I got to get up
It just turns real thick and white during the winter, I guess. They only got, 2-3 months of summer? Is that about
right? David Weaver. Let's see. Sunday, we couldn't reel an IMA skimmer fast enough. They were killing it, making long casts past structure and burning it back. Brother caught a 4-pound white bass on it as well. But so he's talking about the IMA skimmer and the speed. That's today. June 19th, early June.
Yeah.
Does that still play, David, in the heat of the summer when we get into the dog days in July? That's kind of curious about that. Atlanta Outdoors says Castic, is that what it is? Makes a good half-ounce one too.
Castiac.
Hell, I can't.
I call it Castic.
Ron. And Kevin says he's going to throw top water all day at some point. That is true.
Yeah.
In the dirty water, I slow my presentation down, and a popper tends to make them mad, but it's hard to cover much water with it.
Right.
Kaz brought that up on last week's show about popper's great, but you can be in one area for 10 minutes trying to work it to get those strikes.
Yeah.
So,
that's like when fishing those grass over there. I mean, you're just burning down through there. either parallel it or throw it back in some of that thin water willow and
You just covering water.
Yeah, you're just smoking through water. You can turn around and make another pass and slow down, pick up a few more. But as far as covering water, but right with a popper, you're there for a hot minute.
Okay, all right, that makes sense. Wait, what? Let's see right here what he's got to say. Last year, this coming weekend, we won our first tournament on a Cinco with a screw blade in the grass early morning. Had 17 plus in 2 hours. Sure hope we can repeat. Now, number one, I hope you can repeat too.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to try to go this whole daggum episode without talking about a wacky worm or a Cinco. It's probably going to come up, but I'm trying to broaden my approach with it because I really honestly could go throw a wacky worm all day long.
You can't
even
go
in the
wrong
heat of
with
summer.
I mean, you can throw it anywhere.
Anytime like that. David Weaver, when we throw poppers, we will run a front runner with it. That's interesting. I know a lot of guys do that with a fluke style bait and all that, but with a popper, he's got a front runner. You guys throw front runner any at all?
I don't.
No.
You know what we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
I don't do that at all.
No.
Brad Silvers, what are you starting with before dark at the beginning of a night tournament? Okay, well, we'll just go ahead and answer that. I'm fishing, depending on the lake. We generally are throwing a shaky head. We'll hit some points and some humps or whatever with, heck, we'll even throw some bill style bait, something moving. Generally, it's something moving more often. And if they're not hitting a moving bait, then we go to like a shaky head style bait. But if you guys remember, if you ever go back and watch the episode Bill Payne's on, because when we get talking about tournaments, and we'll get talking about nighttime fishing a lot as well. Do you remember him saying that there's a period once it gets, and this is summertime, but once it gets dark, that the bite's really not that good from say 9 to 11.
Right.
It generally picks up 11 to midnight and all that. So I'm going to throw the stuff I normally throw, depending on the lake that I'm in. David Weaver again. Up to last week, we were having to work it very slow, and we would miss a lot, or they would follow it back to the boat. Now, in the heat of summertime, do you guys ever experience a lot of followers and not a lot of takers, or a lot of short strikes?
Oh yeah.
Is that more on top? And you both of you guys got forward facing and all that. Do you see that when you're going down as well?
I mean, honestly, this last weekend, water temperature was 84, 85 degrees, but I was getting a whole lot of short strikes, or I was having to throw in an area like I've got a couple of videos I put out and one on YouTube, but the topwater walking bait, I threw it in the same spot 5 times, had 3 blow-ups before I caught a 3, and then caught the 2 right behind on the next cast. So you're going to get the followers, looky-loo, they're going to swipe at it, whatever. You just got to finally piss them off enough. That's what I was looking at, but I wasn't really using forward facing at that point because I was probably sitting in 5 foot of water casting to literally trash piles.
Okay.
They were sitting under the shade of those trash piles. They were coming out and hammering it or swiping at it.
So, okay, that makes sense. Let's see. Ron says, with all the rain we've had, there should be more fish shallower than normal. Lord knows we've had the rain. Now, we haven't had the rain like our buddy Far Dog up in Oklahoma. But for Georgia, we've had a ton of rain, which I think has helped keep water temps down a little bit. So it might be a little later on before we really get into that high stuff, depending. I think we're supposed to have a dry week the rest of this week and hot temperatures, but the forecast for the week after, this coming up week, it's going to be back to raining again. Wait, what says, don't forget the double fluke rig. Is that what he put in there right there? Early AM.
Donkey rig.
Again,
donkey rig.
But here, you know what, though? If you think and listen to all these answers, they're all moving.
Yeah.
Everything's moving. Nobody's throwing anything really slow first thing in the morning. So I guess what we're looking for is fish up in the shallows or in current,
right,
feeding heavy before the sun gets up. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, you know, Marshall Stamps, Georgia Bassmaster, brought up a comment when he was in here, and he and I have talked about it on social media. And the lake that he and I fish a lot, this time of the year, it gets hard to catch fish on it. And there's docks and there's stuff, you know, but anyway, he goes to the river. He's like, you automatically get a temperature drop.
You do.
You get current because the river's moving all the time.
Yep.
So you can find those current breaks and things like that. So think of it like that. If you're going into the back of a creek, you're looking for any kind of moving water, moving the wind, moving across it, stuff like that opens up the possibilities, drops the water temperature. I mean,
no, it makes sense.
Just stuff like that helps you out in the summertime because, I mean, you can go out there and sit and cook and roast in the sun, but I mean, those fish are doing different things.
Or even find a creek flowing into the lake or something that's got a temperature drop.
You go into the back of one of those pockets and it's got some water flowing into it. And it's cooler. Oh, they'll be stacked all in there.
Yeah, that makes sense. And so, now pull up Phillips up there about the scrounger. It's about middle way up. That right there. I like a scrounger head with a fluke or paddle tail, depending on the action they like. Now, Phil, this is just me personally, and I know a lot of other guys are like this. They never throw a paddle tail on the back of a scrounger. And the reason being, and it could be totally wrong, this is just the way I kind of feel, you've got an action at the front of a scrounger with that cup on it, and you're really deadening it with a paddle tail that's working against it. So that's why I like to go with a straight tail or a fluke style bait to get that action and let the scrounger head itself impart the action. Now, I could be totally wrong on that, but
makes sense.
That's just kind of that. And then Jim Wright and David Weaver both right there, the next two, they're talking about throwing crankbaits at the last, like he's talking about the last hour of daylight. Jim Wright throws a crankbait, usually a DT6. DT6, he's still searching shallow.
Yeah.
So shallow kind of thing. And then what did our buddy David Weaver, pull that back up. I didn't read it yet. Right here. We run just before dark. We throw a Rebel crawfish dark color and a rooster tail. Good choice. Before we start running a mixed stick in the dark or a long A bomber. Okay. Long A bomber. We don't talk about that at night. When we talk about that, when we get into the night part of it here later on, we'll talk about that because I know it's popular. And then Philip said that so far in Georgia, we've had over 9 inches. In May, we had 9 inches of rain, over 9 inches. Our normal is 3.
Yep.
So we are like almost about as bad as the Puerto Rican rainforest that I was in.
No joke.
I mean, that it's impressive. Current, Ron Swinford said, current almost will always be cooler water.
Yep.
Yeah.
If you find running water in the lake, always fish it. I have seen bass flood a pocket that had a natural spring flowing into it.
Right.
And that makes sense. That makes sense.
And I'm going to throw a monkey wrench in. Thermocline.
Yep.
We ain't even,
ain't nobody even mentioned that. If
that.
You're on a lake that has a thermocline and you know how to find it, which is not hard once you figure it out, you can go ahead and start hunting in where that thermocline is right above it. Because if it's kind of stagnant water with no current, it's going to be hot as heck up there. They're all going to be down next to that cooler water, and they'll stay just up in where the oxygen is, because when they dive down in it, they can't breathe. It's like us opening a hot car door. We can't get any air,
Right.
It's reversed.
So I wonder, and I know we've had Kevin Underwood and several others come on here when we do have a show where we talk about thermocline, when it really starts setting up. Is it July or is it later on in August?
It probably start about then, and it depends on the depth of the lake you're fishing, whatever impoundment.
Right.
I saw some areas this weekend. I was scanning just to scan, and I noticed what appeared to be a thermocline starting to set up in certain areas. It was really just certain.
You could already start seeing it.
You're talking about further back in the creeks where the water's not as deep. I could start seeing that clear delineation of the water line. But
on your grass.
On the grass. But the more further I moved out in deep water, when I fished deep water the rest of the day, there was no thermocline.
Right.
Okay. The Real Backwaters has joined us. Appreciate you. Hey, it doesn't matter if you're late, you're here, buddy, and that's all that matters. So we appreciate you joining us tonight. Pull up Atlanta Outdoors right underneath him. I love the action of the bass mooch straight tail minnow. Looks great on a scrounger and a jackhammer. I just think with the scrounger, the paddle tail works against it.
Well, that's a lot of people's theory with a jackhammer or a bladed jig. They're like, if you put a paddle tail on it,
it works against the blade.
Yeah, they say it works against it, and then there's a whole other side of the fence that's like, oh no, that's what makes them bite. So
I got
hey, if it's working, sling it.
And I tell you, listen, guys, I love a jackhammer, but I'm telling you, you need to go try that Spro cover jumper. Everybody says the reason the jackhammer is so great because it starts so quick and everything. Spro nailed it with that, and it's got that Gamakatsu, baby, and it goes better cover. So you guys should go try it, and it's like $4 cheaper.
Yeah,
$4 cheaper. Go try that. I really like it. I'm not a chatterbait kind of guy, but I'm a spinnerbait guy. But I'm telling you, I threw it, and it's ridiculous. Let's see, bro, pull up Ron. Right there. Thermocline can set up in May, but with all the rain and the pulling of current, keeps water mixed up a little bit better. If you get a few days where it's really, really hot, it will start setting up. So I guess it does start up. If it can start up in May, but I think it really gets nasty when we get like August and all that. That's what it's like.
Yeah.
July,
August.
In the heat, like we're talking about. The hog farmer spunk shad is money, James Archer says. I
Those spunk
believe that.
shad, they are good.
Now, pull up Real Backwaters, this next one. We all talk about bass fishing. Need a show dedicated to brim fishing. Listen, if I could pick one way to fish for the rest of my life, you give me a farm pond with some big shell cracker on it, a tube of crickets, and a pencil float, and I would rather, in a Zebco 33, I would rather do that than anything because that's just what I grew up doing, and I love it. It's relaxing. The problem with doing a show dedicated to brim fishing is you can do one show.
Yep.
We just can't talk about it every week like that, but we might do that. We need to go do like a video. Just go get a tube of crickets and go fishing.
Yeah.
We could do that. Let's see. Brad Owens. Right there. Yeah, this rain's killing me. I run heavy equipment and can't do nothing in the mud.
Mm-hmm.
Landscapers,
I guess you need to go
guys,
fishing, yeah.
You can go fishing, but I get it.
Yeah.
And see, Ron's showing his age. He's old like I am. Crickets for the win with brim fishing. Ron, because
Ron and I from the same hood.
Yeah, we're simple men. There's simple pleasures in life. And I guess something happened to Big Al, or either when I told him 8:20, he took it as Midwest time. He might show up at 9:20 tonight.
Yeah, I've been looking. He ain't popped up yet.
Yeah, I bet he did.
Shoot him a text.
He'll show up when he shows
Where's
up.
the boom? Going where the boom's at.
Well, he's in Oklahoma.
Yeah,
if his ass calls at 10:20, we ain't gonna be here.
Yep.
But it is. Philip Hutchins just said on Lanier, if we keep getting all this rain, it'll cause a turnover stratification earlier, typical in a La Nina year. Damn, Philip. Why don't you get scientific on us right there?
Getting all smart and stuff.
I get it. Speaking of brim, where would you go on Lanier this time of year for kids? Just go by any boat dock.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's simple. Brim or just anything shallow.
Boat docks, the back of a little hook pocket.
If you got some rock or something like that, but generally around boat docks, they're always going to be there. So, but that is, there's really no good place on Lanier to really just go target specifically brim. They're everywhere.
Yeah.
Boat dock, if you can get around a boat dock, even better. He likes topwater bugging for brim.
I bet that's a blast.
I bet it is. I'm going to take my fly rod over to Latham. And when them spots start schooling all the time during the summer, start throwing some streamers and get one of them big spots to bulldog me over 80 foot of water with my lightweight fly rod.
There you go.
That ought to be fun right there. Michael Lewis. Pull that up right there for him. Watch them attack a few live frogs this past weekend on Latham. We were just on the bank playing with a snail the kids found. Now, I've got in my hand here a Spro popping frog.
Mm-hmm.
And I put that because, we can kind of talk about the frog bite. We can more transition a little bit because we talked about the AM bite. And you can throw them in the AM. But not necessarily a popping frog, but a frog. A lot of people like throwing them. The thing about throwing a frog is we got all these clear water lakes. Now, over there in the shit you fish in, Tim, I can see it all the time. People underestimate a frog on Lanier, on Allatoona, on Latham. You can catch them on a frog all the time. You can catch them on that. Do you
still frogs live around all the lakes, docks, back in the cuts?
You do, but now
they're still there.
But let me ask you, because when we fished Gunnersville, you and Farmer were trying to throw a frog, right?
Right.
Okay. Do you prefer a straight regular frog or more like a popping frog in the summer heat? Now, in the summer heat.
Well, when you're on Chick or Gunnersville, it depends. If you're in that cheese grass, you probably ought to throw a walking frog so it'll come through it.
Right.
If the grass is a little bit down below it, you can get you a popping frog.
Okay.
So, because that cheese mat, you'll see little trails.
Yeah, you can't really do a popper.
You can't really do a popper or you're going to come back as a big snot ball.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. What about, though, Tony? Because, Wedowie's kind of like clear, ain't it?
Yeah,
Do you ever throw a frog over there?
I have, and I hope I don't get killed for this, but yes, deep clear lakes have certain spots in them that frogs work really well. And I won't say any more than that because I don't want to give up the guys that told me this juice years ago. But there's places where, let's just put it this way, there's places where stuff stacks up and a frog works perfect.
Tony keeping it sugar free tonight, ain't he?
Well, now, what is this shit?
I did give it a little bit more than I probably should have, but just think of it. It's not grass. It's just places where in the heat of the summer, and I know it works really well, obviously right there in the spawn and post spawn, right, immediate post spawn, but there's things that, they got to get away from that sun and stuff too. And they're looking for those obvious spots. If you're in, you're finding stuff stacked up in the water,
Okay, since you can't give me the spot. Okay,
Y'all just pay close attention to
since you
Tony
can't-
call him fish and start looking. He's gonna start blurring the background.
Yeah, you're gonna be one of those guys.
I won't
that
blur the background. I've only got one video where I blurred the backgrounds because I was fishing a tournament the next weekend.
Okay, I got you. Okay, but let me ask you this: in your secret spots,
Yeah,
do you throw a popping frog or a straight frog?
both. Try both.
And which one? Why would it determine one over the other?
Just trying to make enough activity on top of the water to see if they would react with it. Just try both. If I'm gonna do a frog, I'm gonna try both on just to see what I need. Now,
Jim Wright already knows.
yeah, Jim definitely knows it.
Jim, we love you, dude. Tell us. Since Tony can't, you can. Bruce,
DM us, man. Come on.
pull up Bruce Millard right there, and I hope I said that right. Up here in Pennsylvania. Dude, we're really getting a lot of northern. You know, it really does. What we do does translate. And actually, we need to learn more about the northern lakes.
Yeah, that is true.
Because they could teach. I know we act like we're the epicenter of bass fishing, and we're kind of close. But there's a lot to learn from the guys up north that we probably could use to translate down here.
Very true.
Up here, bluegill colored poppers have been doing great. Now, bluegill poppers, you hear a lot. He said, nope, it's a secret. Damn, Jim, come on. Bluegill poppers, a lot of guys talk about it when the brim go on bed. You start throwing those colored poppers around brim bed here. But as we get on into the summertime, is a bluegill popper or even a frog, like coloring of the frog, how much importance does color play in the poppers or the frogs? Guys on Lake Lanier are going to be throwing a chrome blue e-pop.
Right.
They're going to be throwing it because we have herring. We have those. We're throwing them. We can pull them up out of 30-foot brush piles. But like over there in the swamp where you fish, you're not – I mean, you guys got brush piles that deep. Are you pulling fish, Tim, out of brush piles like that with poppers?
No, they're usually just in a few feet of water out there roaming around.
So you're shallow fishing.
Right. Yeah. It's usually, I mean, shallows, you're out in the creek channel and it's 6-8 foot deep and you're throwing up just skinny water.
I got you.
Yeah. Standard swamp.
Yeah. And before I forget, any of you guys that got the Braves game on, keep me up to date with the score because they were losing 1-0 when we started going live. So
Dave's on the water and says, we're good luck.
Yep.
Oh, what? Oh,
yeah.
Just caught a 6-4. Keep it up, guys. Y'all are good luck.
Yeah.
Well, heck yeah, Dave. Whatever we can do to help you, we'll do.
Before we went live, he's sending us pictures, looking at his screens. He's like heading out to the water, and he said, "I'll pop in on some comments." But evidently, he's been busy.
Well, if I was catching 6-pounders, I'd be doing.
I wouldn't want to talk to us either.
I would not want to talk to us. But hey, listen, we are his lucky, his luck tonight. Mm-hmm. So we'll go with that.
1-1.
1-1. Good, Coleman. Thank you very much. So look at all you guys. Like there's like 8 guys out there put the score, whatever it is. Thank you. This is community.
That's right.
They take care of us right there. So I love you guys. Y'all have no idea. But anyway, with the frog, back to the frog. In the heat of summer, does the frog play better early in the morning, middle of the day, late in the evening, and probably not so much at night? But is there a time period during the day that the frog's going to be in your arsenal?
I would say more low light conditions.
Really?
I would think that more of the natural time that a frog's probably going to be out goofing around. Wouldn't you?
Yeah, you really don't see a lot of frogs out there in the middle of the day.
Not unless, you spook them off of pads or, they pop water when you come around. But
have you ever watched one of them big badass bullfrogs like actually attack a frog bait or something like that? They'll eat themselves.
Oh, yeah.
You ever seen a guy pulling them over the pads and he's jerking it and you got that frog comes up about 10 foot behind and he goes down, he's 5 foot behind it.
That frog's like, get the hell off my pad, bro.
And he eats them. He attacks them. So it's crazy. Let's see. I'm trying to catch up with some of the comments. Like Steven Sturgeon, right there. Pull him up. When I get to the cheese, a Johnson silver minnow with a Z-Man goat walks across it, and it is heavy enough to make a bigger impression so they can see it.
That's sneaky
from
right there.
Underneath. That Johnson silver minnow, is that big one up there that's got the single hook with like a weed guard kind of thing on it?
I guess if you pulled that thing good, it would.
He's throwing a spoon.
That's like a little boat coming across there. And I hadn't thought of that.
He's throwing a spoon. Have you ever thought about that?
No, I've never.
That's some good. That's sugar juice right there. That's sweet juice.
Steven Sturgeon, thank you. Now, you know what? Listen, at some point, one of the guys watching tonight, or that's going to watch later, they're going to go out and buy them a Johnson silver spoon, and they're going to be chunking that thing into pads, and they're not going to be as good as Steven is, and they're going to be bringing back all kinds of crap stuck on it, because that's what would happen to me. But that's some pretty cool. It's just something I never thought about.
I'm sure there's a little bit of technique to it to get it to come across it. But
Now
with a goat on the back of it, I guess.
But he's up in Illinois, right? Ain't he our fella from Illinois? I believe, Steve, ain't you in Illinois? That's where he said he was from. So Ron Swinford said that silver minnow is a killer at sometimes. I've used them for years. Okay, because I was getting ready to ask, is that a northern technique? But since Ron lives over there, on Lake Weiss, he's a southern boy. I would not have thought tonight. I did not have that on my bingo card tonight for baits that we were going to talk about, for somebody to say a topwater Johnson spoon across cheese.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought to throw it in a cheese knot.
Not in that. James Archer, do any of you guys finesse in July? I would say I'm trying to learn the power game. I would say I'm more finesse.
Yeah.
Well, okay, Tony. And you're on because he's over there. You're in Tim, real quick. You're mostly largemouth over there where you're at, or is it a mixture?
Predominantly largemouth.
Predominantly largemouth. You fish Widowie a lot and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Is it predominantly largemouth or spots?
There's a good largemouth population in Widowie, really good largemouth population, but there's also the spotted bass that if you just want to catch fish, there's plenty of them there to catch. They do get some big size to them, nothing like over here at Lanier or Allatoona. But to answer his question, yes, I will, just because I'm trying to get better offshore. So I'll go out there and crank, but I'll also go out there and throw jig head minnow. But even with my finesse stuff, I'm power fishing it. Even with the jig head minnow, I'll get out there and go, yeah, there's fish there. I'm throwing it, walking across the bottom and see what reaction I get. I'm not necessarily going for those suspended.
You're not sitting there doodling.
I will doodle for fish, but I also sit there and put the spot lock on and just keep heaving to the same spot and dragging it over. And if I start getting bit that way, I'm basically throwing a jig at that point. So.
Yeah, you are. Pull up old Father Time's comment right there. We got the wisdom in the house right here. The Johnson silver spoon is a Florida bait and quite weedless. Shows my lack of knowledge.
Yeah. And
did you know that there was a Florida
bait? Why
bait?
has he never said this before?
I don't think he's ever talked about a Johnson spoon.
Not. No. He's been sitting on that juice. Just boy, them pain pills. We need to
Kevin, take another pain pill and give us your secrets.
I can't, buddy. I hate that he's not doing it. That he can't fish, because I was enjoying them Monday night tournaments.
I loved fishing with him. I had a good time. Let's see. Old lures still work, but we don't use them as much.
I'm a firm believer in starting to bring some of that stuff back. I think we need to revisit a lot of these older lures and go back to using them, because look at what's all over the internet and social media and pros. They're saying they're throwing all this same stuff. Well, for the last 2 months, we've talked about a scrounger.
Yeah.
I mean, and they're winning with it. I think even one of the other social media guys said the pros are winning on a bait that nobody's talking about. The scrounger. I mean, there's some of that stuff they're not seeing anymore. Throw it.
So Kevin, since we got him, like his favorite nighttime bait, he still likes to throw, what's that? Jitterbug. That's an old bait like that. Well, it kind of goes, and I know we're going all over the place here. We're not. I think the trying to go from morning to midday to night, it is what it is.
Yeah.
We can skip that. But a lot of guys go to a spinnerbait, which has been around forever. That's an old school bait. What's another example of an old school bait that you think in the summertime we should be throwing, Tony?
We've talked about the lizard before.
Nobody throws lizards.
You'll see in the comments, somebody will say it that, I still throw the lizard and it gets hammered. I used to throw lizard nighttime fishing, summertime. That was my go-to bait. Black and blue, black and chartreuse all night long. And I own a pack of each, but I don't ever tie them on. That's true. One of those things that, drag a lizard.
That's true. What about you, Tim? What's an old school summertime bait we should be throwing?
A bait I was thinking
or even a technique.
I was thinking sea rigging.
It's what?
Carolina rigging.
At night?
Yeah.
Really?
Put you a dark something on there.
Just slow drag across the bottom.
Bang it through there, yeah.
What are you putting on the back of a nighttime Carolina rig?
You could put a lizard.
Yeah. Do you prefer
big fat worm?
Okay, so how much does water displacement? Like if you put a lizard, most lizards have a curly tail now.
Right. And
so that's throwing off a little bit.
Yeah.
But if you're putting a fluke is kind of zooming in and out and all that, but like a lot of guys will pull an old Cinco and all that. There's not really a lot of action.
How about a ribbon tail worm?
Ribbon tail worm.
Hell, old monster.
Old monster.
Well, that's kind of what I meant when I said curly. And I should know the curly's are short. But
Yeah, you can go with the
ribbon tail.
old monster, or
Yep.
you can scale it down, get a smaller one.
There we go. 2-1 like that. Bruce Millard. Well, Jim Wright says he throws lizards in the winter.
Yeah.
Dana from FCP Fishing is big on the lizard. Brush hogs took over lizards for me. Bruce said that. That is true. Cranking and yanking. Jig and pig.
Hey, yeah, jig,
I
get
just
it
don't
done.
consider that old school. I mean, it's old school bait, but I don't think it ever went out of fashion though.
No.
Well, they just quit making them the pig part of it
Yeah,
for a
that's
while.
true, the pig part,
If
yeah.
he's talking about
If he's
really
talking true pig, yeah.
true throwing to Uncle Josh,
Yeah, that makes sense.
that's
yeah.
true. But still, I mean, they went to the
Yeah, we
silicone versions of it like that. A black hula popper. Now there you go.
That's
there you
old
go.
school.
You know, you don't hear people talking about. Okay, so at night in the summer, if you're going to do topwater, you're wanting to make noise, you're wanting to make sounds.
A lot of it.
But a lot of people don't talk about throwing buzz baits at night. Now, on farm ponds that I grew up, we threw buzz baits at night and got hammered.
Oh,
Yeah.
And maybe the people that are throwing them aren't talking about it. But like Ken says, a prop bait changed the hooks 5-fish limit in an hour.
Yeah.
Everybody, see, this is what I love about the comments. Everybody, we're getting all these different techniques. And then Ron says a Texas rig, big old man's worm, black grape. He even gives us a color. Black grape in the dark or watermelon in clearer water.
You talking about that big monster man's worm?
The John Holmes worm.
Yeah.
They're like the 15-inch that they sell at Walmart. They can't
I
even
think there's
put
4 in a pack because it weighs a pound.
it weighs they can't even put it in a section because it's so long. They got to throw it down there on the bottom.
Oh, yeah, that
Three
thing's
product
huge.
spots on the shelf.
Country Boy TV, Georgia Country Boy TV. I don't want to miss the Georgia boy part. Try throwing a straight worm over cane piles on top. Get your arm broke. Now, Georgia, I'm just calling it Georgia boy right there. Is that at night? Are you talking about doing that at night? Which I love. Listen, you'll get your arm broke on a nighttime spinnerbait.
Oh, yeah.
And Georgia Blade around here, most people are going to throw. Georgia Blade has a bunch of different varieties. Remember, we always talk about the color at night too,
Right.
because the shad don't change color.
Nope.
So we always have that argument. Why do you have to have black at night? And then we get into everybody saying it's just silhouettes, it's all this kind of
Are
stuff.
you mimicking the shad staying the same color, or you just need to give them a target to hit?
I don't know.
And also, the bigger the blade, the bigger the weight.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that thing will helicopter right back up.
So,
if you're
yeah,
trying
so-
to keep it on the bottom, I mean, throw a 1 ounce. If you're gonna put one of those big, what is it, number 7?
Yeah.
Number 7 blade on it's huge.
Now you're getting into Tim Hancock territory.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you want to keep it down there, you better put some weight on it.
Well, I will say this: Georgia Blade has 2 sizes. They have a half and they have a 3/4.
Right.
90% of all the sales is 3/4.
Absolutely.
It's 3/4. Steven Sturgeon, what is a
What's a
cane
cane?
pile?
Maybe they don't have those where he's at.
Now, they got cheese, but they ain't got cane
Got
piles.
cheese, no cane.
One of you guys in the comment section, tell our northern friend what a cane pile is. What's up, Walton Doyle?
Walt been killing them. I've been following his media.
he's-
Walt
he's
been putting it
definitely
to
wearing
him.
out.
He's fishing a farm pond.
Is
dude.
he on-
No, I'm just kidding, Walton. I'm just kidding. 3-1 Braves. There we go.
Hey.
Let's see. What is actually okay? So, how would you describe a cane pile for Steven? It's cane.
It's cane.
Yeah, it's bamboo.
It's like bamboo and stuff, pretty
Bamboo,
much, right?
Yeah.
That people make.
Right.
I imagine some of that you probably could find it, but it's just like it's a man-made kind of. Now, I want to say man-made. That you got to be careful with that because some lakes might have it. But here, if you're putting out a cane pile, you're cutting down bamboo, putting it in a 5-gallon bucket, and putting some cement on it,
Yeah.
and you're dropping it straight down. But it's just generally like that, and it stands. It's
They
more
call it-
standing.
they call it a pile, but it's basically stand. You put a milk jug on top, tie a milk jug to the top, and keep it straight up down when you drop it, and it stands up. And
Yeah.
Pretty much making your own little Christmas tree down there.
Yeah.
Kind of, but I think but somebody said the other night or in something, it might have been on a Facebook comment or something, that they made a comment about guys dropping Christmas trees to make piles out of.
Yeah.
And that person, and I forget his name,
probably
said
Thad Moody. Did he kind of he was talking about brush piles? That
it
night.
might have been, it might say it's the worst thing in the world
Yeah.
to make a brush pile out of because they disintegrate so
They
fast.
do.
Them too quick. But
If
it's
you-
so easy to get.
If
hold
you've
of.
ever been around
Yeah.
where like DNRs, like place stuff, it's usually made out of, I don't know, PVC, angle iron, whatever.
Yeah.
And it literally has got a weight on the bottom of it, and it looks like a darn tree sitting down there, or some sort of drag racing light stick out there with all the stick stuff off of it.
Yeah.
Then it's probably got 10,000 lures hung in it.
Yeah, probably does. So I don't stunt. Lake Norman has a whole bunch of it, and Georgia Country Boy TV says Hartwell is covered in cane pops.
Yeah.
Now let me ask you guys: are those naturally occurring? I'm just curious. I'm really honestly just curious. If you listen to a jitterbug at the right speed, it sounds just like a whopper plopper. It might, Ron, but it sure as hell ain't got that spinny thing on the back of it that's annoying. It's just coming across the top of water doing its business. That whopper plopper is just crazy. And let's read Cranking and Yankins, and then we'll do the question of the night that we got to come up and pull out of our ass real quick.
Yeah.
Because I didn't thought about it yet. Haddon has a bait shaped like a torpedo, has a prop on the front and the back, and it's about the size of a spook. Haddon,
yeah. I've got some of those I've had since I was a kid.
Do you?
Yeah, they got the little spinners on the front and the back.
All right, so I tell you what we're going to do, and we ain't even talked about spoons yet, other than the Johnson spoon across the cheese. I'm going to give somebody a 6-inch Georgia blade, a Georgia blade spoon for the winner of this. Now, pull a question out of your butt, Tony.
Oh, jeez.
Right there, you got the Devil's Horse. Andy Miller said, "Is that
no pressure?"
Huh? What'd you say?
I said no pressure, Tony.
Yeah, I'm okay. I have to keep thinking.
Get back with us on that in a minute.
Keep talking for a second.
Yeah.
I'll think of something.
I threw you on the spot and under the bus right there.
That's fine.
Only because I know you'll like me afterwards more.
Right.
Because didn't I say it was my job to come up with the question of the night?
You did. And see, I've got all this technical stuff going on back here.
So you can't.
I'm already multitasking, and Tony just seems like
hanging
out.
You.
Yeah.
Listen, and
I'm sorry, buddy.
I took a 5-hour energy that you brought me before the show, and so my brain's going too fast, and I'm thinking about comments that ain't even occurred yet.
Yeah.
But let's go ahead and pull up Serve IT while he's looking. So we want to thank Serve IT for sponsoring the question tonight, guys. If you got a business, big or small, Serve IT is your one-stop, 100% managed solutions for your business's IT. They got a great customer service reputation. They're American-based. They will stay on your problem if you have one until it is done. And they've got a process that is the most amazing business thing I've ever seen. And I'm not smart enough to put it in place here. I probably should, and we'd be nationally ranked as the #1 podcast and fishing store.
Absolutely.
It's that good. And Alan and the guys over there, hey, look, the good old boys like us, they like to fish. If you're looking for a change in your occupation and you got good customer service skills, problem-solving skills, and you're good-looking like me, go to serveit.com and hit their career section. I threw that good-looking like me in there just for shits and gigs right there. Go check them out, though. Serve IT, they're great. They're great people. And for those of you that want to know, I talked to Mr. Alan Brooks, and you remember he's with the TAA?
Mm-hmm.
Let's just say it's still coming. And when it does, it's going to blow your mind. I can't say no more than that, but it's going to blow your mind.
Wow.
You got a question?
Yeah, I think we're going to go with something fairly simple, but it'll take them some time to get it all together.
All right. How many answers?
Since Tim let the bus drive over me, he gets to watch for the answers. 5 answers.
5?
It's simple, though. It's so simple.
Okay.
Kevin is at home smiling right now.
He won't be one
No,
of
like
he won't
with
be one of
5 answers, Kevin just popped another pain pill right
Yeah,
there.
he's like, hey, I'm on for the
Let me see if I
ride.
can send this to Tim, though, real quick, so he'll have it. Or I have to go in there and show him.
Yeah, let me get
All
my
right,
hair.
we'll read this twice. I need the names correct spelling or close.
Shit.
Top 5 anglers on the NPFL day 1. Top 5 anglers.
Which is today.
For today.
Which is technically day 2.
Today is day 1, but day 2, yes.
Yeah.
So who is in the top 5 of the NPFL in Lake Eufaula, Oklahoma, day 1?
Which we would talk to with Big Al, but apparently
He's due in about 20 minutes.
about 20. I guarantee his ass is going to pop in.
You know it. He'll be like, it's 8:20 here.
Yeah, I like that. So who's the top 5 anglers after today? Today. Copy and paste might be your friend, Philip Hutchinson.
That's right.
Today, and whoever gets the answer first, Randy Blockett is not one of them.
I'll be honest with you, one of them in the top 5 today surprised me. When I saw him on stage, I was like, man, he's getting old. Just didn't realize how old he got.
Okay, is Ethan Simpson. Is that it?
Hang on.
No, he's off 1.
You're off 1. George Thornton. Now, George, I know you, dude. There's 5 answers. There's 5 answers. You got to put all 5
He's working on it. He's like, hang on, I'll be back in a minute.
There's always that one guy. Tommy still got it flipping. But anyway, top 5 of the NPFL after today. Georgia Country Boy TV. He's only got
missing
4.
One. He's missing one. George is missing one.
Listen, that's the Georgia math for you. Right there. 4 out of 5, big dog. You got to have 5. I'm going to send this spoon. I want to send the spoon to somebody. All right. What? YT, Harry. No. Oh, good Lord. Is he right?
No.
Okay. All right. So you guys listen, all 5's got to be in one comment.
Yeah.
Oh, how many shows we do a week?
Quite a 2.
How many times a week do we do this question of the night? And how many times we tell them, no matter how many answers, you got to have all of them.
Right.
I love you guys.
I got y'all on widescreen because I'm reading.
I love you guys. And listen, the sooner you guys answer this question, we can get back to the talking. Because Lord knows we would absolutely blow Tim's mind if we started pulling up comments right now.
Boy,
You guys would
if I had some elevator music going
So
on
you
right
keep
now.
what? Okay. Randy Blockett,
No.
Ray Scott, Hillary Martin, Dave Aldridge, and Kaz Anderson. Hell, I might give it to you, Coleman, just because you're close. All right, what about Country Boy? Now, he added one.
Nope. Not by the name. Not what I got here.
Are you sure you're right?
I'm gonna double check.
You
but
double check that. Now, listen, that always makes me end up having to give somebody extra gifts because you
Maybe we
guys,
should have just asked him what lake Dave's fishing.
Right.
are we sure the answer to the questions are correct? No, Andy Miller, we're not. And if not, tonight, if they're wrong,
That's what's on there. That's what's on their leaderboard, official leaderboard.
We're reading it from the
Is that right
official
let me see.
Is that right
post
there?
today.
So that's their official.
All right, listen.
All right, Ron Swinford's got it.
Okay,
According to their official leaderboard.
According to their official leaderboard, in first place is Wes Logan. Second place, Brandon Cobb. Third place, Corey Casey. Fourth place, which I think is what you're talking about, the old one,
Yep.
Tommy Biffle. And fifth place is KJ
Yep.
Queen.
Y'all had me question it for a second.
KJ
Whew.
Queen. Ron's your winner. Ron got it.
Yep.
Mine
Good
is
job, Ron.
right.
I'm
Now listen, Andy Miller.
I'm so glad, Ron. I was stressing back here.
Ron, shoot me your address, dog, and I'll send it to you. Shoot it to me on Messenger. I probably have it, but do it anyway because I write stuff down and then I forget where I put it.
I'm gonna need one of Kevin's pain pills.
Mhm. You got a bathroom break?
Yes, sir.
Well, you ought to. You ought to go in shame right there.
Look, we can
I'm
follow
kidding.
him with the
You did it
cameras.
right.
There he goes.
Yeah.
Y'all
there
saw
we
it
go.
right here
The walk
live.
of shame.
Now we're gonna be quiet and
We're
listen.
gonna be quiet now. No problem, man. So there you go. So they were mentioning. He said Tommy Biffle. That's an old school name right there, and all that.
That's my hero. You know, I fish the old
I know.
biffle bug. I love it.
You know, somebody mentioned the Biffle bug earlier in the show. Was
They
it Ron?
did.
Was it Ron?
It may,
Or
yeah.
Kevin?
There's been several of them.
Biffle bugs right there.
I love it.
Listen, Ron said it was too painful. I had to put everyone out of their misery. So basically what Ron was saying is like he was sitting back trying to let everybody else win and just finally said, I got to do this. So the show must go on.
That's because Ron's a team player.
He's a team player.
And he
Ron.
finally decided to shoot us like it's a mercy killing.
But all right, Doug Phillips right below it. Come on, Danny. We all ride the short bus. Doug, I'm not saying I didn't think it, but no. Hey, listen, I get it. I get it right there. Kevin Thornton. Oh no, look, Steven Sturgeon. That's what happens when you prehydrate. See, that's exactly
There
right.
You go.
Is that what's wrong?
You got it. Listen,
Drink water.
5-hour energy and Adderall
Or
some beef jerky.
What do they call it? Water intoxication?
Water
That can
intoxication.
happen, really.
It can happen.
That boy sweats. I don't have to worry about that water intoxication. I sweat
Oh,
it up. I
look
sweat
at
it out.
Oh,
And Kevin Thornton's on the good
He
stuff.
said
tonight.
morphine. I need to go by and see him.
We need to go see him.
Yeah.
Kevin's like, where's all my morphine at? Well, Danny took it.
For the question night, I almost asked for the top 10. And I was like, I don't know if we want to try to read
I'm
that.
sure.
Hell no, because we'd have been here for another
You
hour
have
and
no
a half.
idea how glad I'm you didn't do that.
No kidding.
Jerry says I use a MEPS Comet Minnow in the morning during the summer.
Do tell.
Now, is that one that's got the spoon in front of it? Little treble hook? Is that little soft plastic one? Is that what he's talking about?
No.
I'm not sure. I
I don't
always
know
thought most
I don't know a
MEPS
lot of
were.
MEPS stuff.
I thought most MEPS were like the little rooster tail. It was just the brand of them. I know they're real quality rooster tails.
So, Jerry, answer me that in the comment section. Have I got this right? Is that the little soft-bodied minnow with a spoon on the front and a treble hook on the back? And I could be totally wrong, but I've seen them.
I think so. It's like a rooster tail.
Somebody said cream worm earlier today. That's a name you don't hear about.
You do
The
not.
old cream worm. Yes, so I got it right. I'll send myself a Georgia Blade spoon right there for getting that question right. So, okay, you guys in the comment section, we've talked about a lot of stuff, but since I've got a spoon in my hand, and we ain't talking about that Johnson minnow, because this has got a big old treble hook. This Georgia blade one's got a big old treble hook. How many of you guys in the heat of summer throw a big old flutter spoon?
Man, I'll throw one, but I ain't done nothing with it yet. That's one of those techniques that I want to learn.
I have zero confidence.
I mean, I know it gets to the bottom quick, but I ain't caught a fish one on. Now, I just have learned the jigging spoon a couple of years ago. So,
yeah,
I mean, the metal spoon doesn't seem that far off. But, yeah, I want to get one so bad, but I haven't got it yet.
What about you, Tim?
That's something I hadn't mastered. I've thrown it a little bit. I probably should work on that more, but I hadn't never figured it out.
And we talked about the early morning, me going to those spots where I crank.
Mm-hmm.
I know the fish sitting there. I will throw the spoon on that spot, and they won't touch it, but they'll hit that crankbait. So
a lot of guys in the comment section. Georgia Country Boy does. Coleman does. Phillip does. James Archer. Now, James, because you said that, there was something that happened last year.
Talking about this comment right here, not a
that right there. So last year on Lanier, and I had some guests that came in. Let's just say they were on the flutter spoon bite. Normally, on Lake Lanier, and I would imagine some of the other lakes around here, even on Latham, they were throwing the big 5s and 6s. But last year, the guys that got on them had to switch down to the 3 and the 4s. For some reason last year, that big spoon bite wasn't on. So that was something interesting when I saw your comment right there. Not a giant one. And also, too, this is a 6-inch spoon. Okay? My wife can concur. All right? But if you pull up a Nichols, Tim, what are you laughing at?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I got to get
Thank
one.
God I sent the kids home with their mom earlier.
I got to make you guys laugh once a show.
Ken's in the comments. He's like, Tony, you got to keep them under control.
That's exactly what he's saying. But if you go to Nichols and pull up some of their spoons and they say 6 inches, them things look like they're 9-inch spoons. Have you ever noticed that?
They are huge.
But they'll say 6-inch spoon. And I'm like, that thing weighs 1.5 pounds and it's not a 6-inch spoon. It just depends by company. I've just noticed that.
Right. Somebody out there that's using this and it's working, tell us maybe the technique that Tony and I are trying is not working. Maybe we're not getting it down right to get them to bite.
I've watched Zaldane throw a spoon. I've mimicked everything he's done, and the same, like I said, in the spots I know the fish are sitting, and maybe it's just there's a lot of spotted bass there that are smaller. I don't know, but they won't touch it. Yeah.
So Jim Wright says if a lake has underwater lights and I can get to that one spot, I will throw a spoon at it first thing.
Yeah.
I guess you're talking like green lights and stuff like that. So that's a good thing. T-Toms. Now, T-Toms, I want you to answer me this question. It says the Nichols Mojo flutter spoon is my favorite. Lots of ways to work it. Shattered glass is the color. To which Ron Swinford says, yes, that's a great one. Now, my question is, T-Toms, what size Nichols Mojo flutter are you throwing? And is it the 6-inch? That's really 9-inch. I mean, because it really is big, because I carried them here at one time.
And do you think it matters about the shattered glass versus the chrome? Because I bought a bunch of chrome ones when I started, and I wanted to learn it. I don't think I got a shattered glass one, but it makes me wonder if maybe they've seen so much of the chrome till the shattered glass would be a better way to go with it.
That's a good question.
It could be just the prism or the flash.
Yeah, I mean, just something
different.
It
breaks
could
up
be.
the light, but it also still shines it a lot. I don't know.
Could be. Now, Coleman Jones wants to know what line y'all throwing y'all's on. Your spoons.
Probably.
You guys in the comment section, throw that. Okay, his is only a 4.5. Hey, so you're back in my territory right there, T-Toms.
I'm not throwing the gigantic spoon. I'm throwing, one that's 4-inch, 3/4, 4-inch or whatever. I'm not throwing the big ones.
Georgia Country Boy says it works good on bridge pylons on Lake Russell, pays big dividends midday. Midday, 20-pound fluoro. I was going to guess with a bigger spoon, somebody's going to be throwing 15, 17, 20.
You'd need to.
I'm going to be throwing it probably anyway.
Jim Wright throws his on braid.
He throws everything on braid. I fished with Jim last year. That joker throws everything on braid. But I'm going to tell you what, if it's a log or a fish, it's coming to the boat. He's getting his stuff.
Oh, hell yeah.
We never had to worry about getting him off the bank or something. He always brought it back to the boat.
Craftmaster says line is important on all spoons, heavy, 20 minimum. Georgia Country Boy TV, 20-pound fluoro. But James Archer's got a good tip for those that are doing it. I keep it above them, which makes sense for spotted bass.
Yeah.
I find that for me, if I go below them in the water column, they will chase but not commit to it. That's a good tip.
And then you take them to the bottom with it. Now they're not going to come back up to anything, probably. would guess. I mean, maybe once you drag them down there, they're just not.
Well, at that point, they've seen it.
That's what I'm saying. I mean,
Yeah, at that point, they've seen it. But that is one technique that I know is really popular. But I'm just like, and the technique ain't that hard. They throw it out there, they let it flutter down to the depth, and then they just whap. They jerk it up and let it flutter back down. Jerk it up and let it flutter back down. The Mojo spoon is only 2 1/4 inches long, but it's still a 1/2 ounce. Yeah. Now, okay. How about the jigging spoon?
Them little guys, they got to get theirs.
Maybe we're just using too much spoon. Maybe that's my problem. That is my. Hey, listen. We need to record that.
Yeah, that is a problem. I don't think any of us probably.
Maybe I'm using too much spoon.
You're using too much spoon.
I'm gonna get that T-shirt made. I'm using too much spoon right there. So, but that is a technique that I know is really popular. 6-to-1 braids. Ooh. Heck yeah, I love it. So that is a technique that a lot of guys do in the summertime. Now guys are still throwing stuff over brush piles, trying to call them up. They're drop shotting, going down to them and all that.
Yeah.
But I see a lot of guys throwing a flutter spoon. And for you guys up north, I'll say at night, look at that. I got like 1, 2, 3, 4. Mm-hmm. 4 of you guys keeping me up with the score. I love awesome. You guys. Mm-hmm. They're the best. But like if you only had a flutter spoon on your boat, Tim, and Tony, same question for you. What are you going to target on the lakes you fish? Now, you're at Wedowee, mostly. You are over, where the hell are you fishing? What would we call it?
The Coosa River backwaters or Allatoona. If I go to actual lake, it'll be Allatoona. But if
so ask that question one more time, because I was reading Craftmaster's response.
What's that?
Read your ask your question one more time, because I was reading his response and I missed what you.
Oh, okay. Was. You're talking about let sit. Stephen Sturgis has never heard of 6 inches being too much spoon.
Well, all right then.
Well, I guess. But the question was,
hey.
Yeah. Yeah. The question was because on your lake, your Coosa River, backwaters, and Lake Altoona. So you got a little bit of everything. You're Wedowee.
Guess who's here?
Who's here? Oh, okay. We're going to take a break because we've got the man in that. Hey, listen, it's not. So when I said 8:20, Big Al, I was talking Eastern time.
Oh, Jesus time? All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, we're way past that, aren't we?
Well, once you didn't show up at 8:20, I looked at everybody. I said, I didn't even think about time zones.
You know what? And either did I. You got time for me? Or you guys buzzing out?
I always have time.
You're absolutely. You're right on time.
Yeah, we knew you was going to be here at 9:20. That's what we figured out because we knew this was coming. So anyway, guys at NPFL or Lake Eufaula in Oklahoma, you had to cancel day 1.
Yeah.
Today was your first day. I got to imagine the conditions got to be tough.
Oh, so that's what I was getting at. First of all, appreciate everything you guys do. Claudia Schiffer. That's what we're going with tonight.
Oh, that's your hot woman of the night. Okay, what do you guys give her? You got to look her up. You young boys got to look her up.
I don't recognize the name.
I'm not familiar with that one.
Everything that time you come on, and I got a young guest, and you give one of these women, half of them are like, never heard of her. And I'm like, because you guys didn't live in the greatest decade, which was the 80s. Right there. So y'all look her up and rank her 1 to 10. But go ahead while they're looking her up and tell me about the NPFL.
Conditions, guys. Look, we're in Oklahoma. When we put this thing together, we wanted to see who the true angler of the year was with seasonal fishing. So, a couple in the spring, couple in the summer, couple in the fall, kind of give an overview of basically what these anglers, how they put their season together. And look, you get into the dog days of summer, just like in baseball and all that kind of stuff. You got to hydrate. It's a mental game. You got the water up here. We had some crazy storms that canceled on day 1. They started about 3:00 in the morning. We pushed it back to 8. Just some pockets just showed up here throughout the day. We just didn't want to risk it, especially with the lightning. So Sean, our tournament director, and Brad, they called it. We got everybody out of the water in about an hour and 20 minutes with the help of our staff. Got everybody home probably by about 11 o'clock. So they can kind of decompress and get ready for today and hydrate. And look, we had some guys that, you got to drink that water the night before. You got to drink a lot of Gatorades. I swear by Gatorades. I do it on the golf course, do it out there, whatever. I mean, you drink a Gatorade an hour, you drink some water and all that stuff, and you're going to stay hydrated and all that stuff. But, we had some issues with some guys today that hopefully they take it to task. And Brad put a message out there basically stating to these guys, look, you got to keep hydrated. You're talking about 106 heat index today.
Yeah. Muddy water, 106-degree heat index, and all that. We started this show and no wind.
No wind.
No wind. We started this show actually.
That's a great point right there.
What's that?
No wind. I mean, not.
No wind. Yeah, tough conditions. Now I got a trick question for you from one of our viewers.
Yep.
For Big Al. One date with Heather Locklear in the '80s, or the Cardinals winning another World Series?
Oh.
Well, that's tough, dog.
Look, we got 11 World Series. I'll take Heather Locklear in the 80s.
And I don't blame you.
100%.
I don't blame you. Our question of the night was, who was the top 5 in the NPFL after today, which is day 2, but technically day 1. And, a lot of comments were talking about Tommy Biffle in your top 5 right there.
How about that?
I know it. So that's you got the old schooler there and all that. But with that kind of in mind, given the way you guys have done this season so far with no forward facing sonar, to me the tournaments have been a success. The people watching it and the awareness of it. But from your point of view, because you're there, you're weighing in the fish and all that, can you really tell a difference in the weights and the quality of the fish that you guys have been catching from last year to this year without forward facing sonar?
I mean, look, I would have to do an overall comparison. That's something I get Ken Duke on. I mean, that guy's got stats on top of stats. I will tell you this. I mean, look, you just take each individual event, compare it year over year or 2 years ago. Look, the excitement is there. I mean, that's what you want for fans. That's what you want for the anglers. That's what you want for their families. I mean, look, Christie goes 83 pounds the first event. That's the biggest
he did.
total we've ever had. So you do the math there. We had the biggest weight over 3 days that we've ever had in NPFL history. And then you have, Greg Hackney come back, and then you have Scott Canterbury. Right now you're looking at your top 5, getting back to it. 19.6 is leading it with Wes Logan. You talk to all these guys this week based on conditions starting on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday with practice. And then the rain came in on Wednesday. It really we had to move the trailer today. It started to creep up on there. So we moved the trailer. We turned it into a bag and tub just because we're running out of room there at Nichols Point Ramp. But look, Wes Logan at 19.6, Brandon Cobb at 19 flat, Corey Casey at 18.2, Tommy Biffle at 17.13, and KJ Queen at 17.9. Then you head down the list there. You're talking 16s, 15s. You got Gerald Swindle there in 7th place, Tim Wilson at 15.12. I mean, those are some crazy weights considering the conditions that they're dealing with. This thing is up over 7 feet. It's muddier than all heck. I mean, it almost looks like strawberry milk with all that clay getting rushed in there. Not a lot of debris, which is good. But, man, between the heat index, the mud, the dirty water, and the water coming up, look, Wes Logan, he wins last week at the Elites at 10 killer. He comes 45 minutes down the road, only has 2 days of practice. Now he's been here before, but he slams home 19.6 on day 1. Holy cow.
Hey, have you noticed, and I know you can't give up like specifics, but any of the kind of the techniques the guys are using, because we're talking about fishing in the heat of the summer, some techniques and baits and all that. Just have you kind of heard around guys talking?
Here's the deal. On the first 2 days, of course, I shy away from that. Number one, they're not going to tell you. If they do tell you, it's a blatant lie. I mean, it's the worst in the world in a Texas Hold'em game.
Off plastics.
Yeah, exactly. It's generals, all that. How many times have we heard black and blue, PB&J, and green pumpkin? I mean, those are notorious throughout any tournament, any time of year, et cetera, et cetera. Now, as far as what guys are throwing, I really haven't heard too much. I mean, look, the spinner baits are out there. Guys are throwing jigs around the docks, et cetera, et cetera. It'll be interesting to find out in this 2-day derby that, look, we kind of forecasted this thing where 10 pounds a day, 30 pounds is going to get you that last check. And if you had 14 to 15, you're going to win this thing at 45. Because remember, 2 years ago when we had forward-facing sonar and Luis Fernandez, the Bass Warrior, won in a tiebreaker against Will Harkins at 39 and change. He had the heaviest one-day bag. That was worth forward-facing sonar. A little bit different time of year. The water wasn't up, but 39 pounds won it over 3 days. Wes Logan at 19.6, Is there a chance that he duplicates that? Absolutely. We know how good he is. In 2 days, he'll eclipse that time. So there you go.
It is kind of impressive. And I know our buddy Crankin' and Yankin, he's our Louisiana boy. He says it means more to catch without forward facing sonar, end of story. And I know his feelings on forward facing sonar, but with it or without it, just the conditions that you guys are experiencing out there, most of us would go just get our ass kicked. We wouldn't even catch a fish. To be able to put that kind of weight in the boat with what they're dealing with is impressive enough as it is.
Oh, 100%. I mean, look, you go down, guys, real quick. Let's talk about 60th place. That's Brandon Perkins. He's won a couple of shields. He's won our inaugural championship. He's at 9-9. To get in that check line for him, you're looking at 11-9. So there's going to be a lot of drama that goes on tomorrow from guys fluctuating up that leaderboard to catch a check and not cash a check. And you're only talking about 2 pounds. You go a little bit further down, you're talking 3 pounds. Well, we talk about these guys and we say, hey, they might catch 19.6 one day, but then they're going to come back with 11 or 9 pounds the second day.
Yeah. Ron Swinford said, Wes Logan is a Coosa River guy. He knows what to do when it gets high and muddy.
Right.
Because good Lord knows that river is always muddy.
Always brown.
Always brown on that. So that does help them. Now, for those that might not be familiar, and I don't know why you wouldn't be, but for those that might not be familiar with the NPFL, you guys are going to have some cameras on the boats tomorrow. Where can they watch it? Because it's a little different than last year.
Yes, 100%. So everything's on YouTube. My suggestion to the viewership, go to tnpfl.com. As soon as you go there, it says watch live right in the middle of the splash page. Hit that. It'll redirect you to YouTube, Fullcom Media, and the NPFL is right there in front of your eyes. Tomorrow's Friday, right?
Huh?
Tomorrow's Friday?
Yeah.
So 8 to 2, or 8 to 1, excuse me. 8 to 1, Luke and Fat Cat will be on there. You got emails on this side, your phone calls over here, and NPFL on this screen over there. Perfect day.
That's all you got to do.
Absolutely.
I put it on at the shop.
There you go.
And what I'm doing is I'm listening in the background and everything to, waiting for that big fish catch and all that. So I absolutely love it. And do you have a sleeper that's not in the top 5, top 10 who you think can make a huge move tomorrow? So like if we were going to go put some money on it and we wanted to throw one of those bets that, it might not work out, but if it did, you'd win a lot of money. Who would it be? Or a couple of guys?
You know what? I'm going to look at Jason Burrows. Look, he had a 7-12 today, an hour and a half into the tournament. He only ended up with 13-15, but, there's kind of a sleeper there in 19th place. Look, you got some big names all over the place. I'll look at Jason Burrows. I'll look Brian Hatfield at 13-7. He had a good day today. He had a 4.14 on his big bass. You got Dylan Freeze there. These guys are in the top 23. I don't see – look, what Wes has established and Brandon Cobb have established on day one, it's really it would be hard-pressed to think that those guys are going to come 9 to 11 pounds. Put it to you this way. You go to bed tonight, just put 15 pounds in their live well, okay?
Yeah.
So looking at 34, 35. Wherever you're at, that's what you need to catch to have a chance. Wes and Brandon could put another 17, 18, 19 in the box and close the door.
That's right. For you personally, because I know you guys at the NPFL, you're all one big family. That's why we've always liked you guys and all that. With the influx of new talent, let's say, how have you personally seen them kind of, interact with the existing NPFL talent? How has it created? Have they kind of come in and understood the bond of the NPFL and everything? Have you seen it kind of be like a real smooth transition between everybody from your perspective?
Yeah, look, 100%. You're not going to know all the ins and outs. Look, Brad put it best when he talked with Luke on LBL, and he's mentioned this. Look, as an organization, as far as your culture goes, look, sometimes we're going to butt heads, okay? Oil and water. When everything shakes out in the end of the day, look, it's the NPFL family. That starts with the staff, the ownership group, the anglers, the fans, and their families. Excuse me. I will tell you this. You talk to somebody like Gerald that came over here, or Greg that came over here, or Jason Christie that came over here. We spoil them a little bit. And look, we dump them in the water. We park their trucks a little bit different. Like yesterday when that storm hit, our staff we're pulling boats up on there. We're locking the boats up. We're pulling them out, staging them, and getting those guys out. In an hour and 20 minutes, we had 110 guys out of the water yesterday instead of them going to fight for it. All hands were on deck. We had guys driving trucks and all that stuff. Those guys really appreciate it. And like Brad said, it's the little things that matter the most. You know, we're not just here to put on a fishing tournament, this, that, and the other thing. We want, it's kind of like when you go out and sell there, you want a customer for 10 or 20 years. You don't want to try to find a new customer every other year. So we do that stuff. We got the best staff in the world. I mean, they hustle. Everybody does 3 or 4 things at the events. But honestly, to speed up launch and recovery, our guys out there helping those anglers to pull them around and everything like that makes a world of difference as far as flow goes for it. But getting back to your original question, look, guys like Gerald really appreciate it. Number one, it's when he cut his teeth. I talked to him on stage about that. You know, I talked to a Jason Burrows. I talked to a Will Harkins that's been here for a while. I talked to a Richard Key from Somerville, Tennessee, that's been here for 5 years. I mean, they are, look, they're spending 60 to 70 grand a year minimum in entry fees and logistics. That is a lot of money, a lot of money. So that experience and that kind of fee comes with a little bit of gratitude from us to say, look, if you need us to do something, we're going to do it. Daryl Robertson today, you know, a little bit hot. One of our staff members jumped on it in his boat, took it over, put it on the trailer, pulled it out, said, Daryl, get in your truck, get out of here. Those little things go a long way.
Yeah, it's the one thing since the beginning that I've always liked about it. Yep. It's different. It's different in a good way. Now, I'm noticing that good-looking T-shirt you got on there.
Yes. There you go, boy.
I'm noticing that good-looking T-shirt. Now, like I said, I'll send you some information about my guys later. But if somebody watching wants that T-shirt, is there a way they can get one for themselves?
100%. TNPFL.com. Splash page comes up on the far right. It says shop. Hit that button, go through. There's the boom, all of our hats. Kathy Como does a great job of keeping everything. Sun shirts. You need a sun shirt these days. We got a ton of hats in there. We got a lot of stuff for the kids out there and for the ladies. So just TNPFL.com. Far right, top right corner says shop. Hit it and go search.
You know, if y'all need a model for any of your apparel and all, I'm available and I'm a cheap date.
And here's the deal. Your background music is I'm too sexy for myself. Okay, that's what we're gonna play.
I am too sexy for myself. I'm serious. Buddy, listen, I appreciate you jumping on and giving us the update. You know, call me anytime if you need me, of course, like that. And you guys tomorrow's final day, right?
Yes,
That's
sir.
it.
Yes, sir.
You guys watch that and you guys go support the NPFL because I'm telling you what, listen, like it's for all you guys that love all the tournament fishing. I don't care what you say. I still think the NPFL is the best out there. I'm biased, but but we appreciate you jumping on tonight, and I'll holler at you tomorrow.
All right, everybody have a great night. I appreciate your support, guys.
All right, be safe tomorrow out there.
See you, buddy.
All right, so here we go. Big Al from the NPFL jumping on, just giving us a little bit of that. And I'll tell you what, listen, we're going to get back on for the rest of the show. We'll get back on to finishing up with the summertime baits. Take the forward-facing sonar in and out. I know some people like it. Some people don't want you to fish with it. And, you know, we all are a big, happy family. We can agree to disagree, whatever. But I will tell you this, that man right there and Paul Benson and Brad Fuller and their staff bust their ass.
Yeah.
Bust their ass to put on a quality thing. And they've learned through some growing pains over a few years, and they've corrected them and all that. But I just enjoy it. I watch the Elite sometime. I'm not a big MLF guy like that, but I do enjoy the NPFL, especially since a lot of those guys come on the show. And it's good to watch somebody you got a relationship with.
That's right.
But that joker right there, when he says Big Al, have you ever seen him in person?
No, not in person.
That son of a gun is like 6'8". Like
Wow.
He's like a true.
He's
like a Sasquatch.
He came one night. Remember, I don't know if you were here, but he had like the duck under the air conditioner.
Yeah, he's big dude.
Duck work when we were down there in the thing. But
dude.
he drove all the way out here from when they were weighing over there at the Stripers in Gwinnett just to come talk with us one night. So they do a good job. So, all right, but you guys watching tomorrow. And we need to start doing like some parlays or something like that. If DraftKings can do it, we should start doing that. Figure out a way to legalize and make money on everybody. Anyway, okay. So appreciate him doing that. Let's get back on the talk. So summertime, he ain't fishing with no 4-inch spoon. You know, I tell you what,
we can always count on cranking and yanking.
Cranking and yanking.
Nobody else is thinking about that.
We cleared the children out before you got on tonight. Remember that one night he's like, I didn't know there were kids there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I had the
So,
kids
so
up here.
cranking and yanking. Come on, dude. That's my job to make them inappropriate comments right there. But I appreciate you like that. So we were talking about the spoon, and Ron won it finally and everything like that. What is one, and I know we kind of got off track with all that. What is your favorite summertime technique? Doesn't matter whether it's night, evening, in the heat of the day, early in the morning, in July, going into August, heat of the day. What is your favorite, Tony?
I'm going to go with a shaky head. Big worm.
Big worm.
Yep. Magnum trick worm, a Z-crawl worm for the lakes. So I'm talking, the lake I fished at home or West Point, something like that. Now, Woodalley's a little bit different, but it still works there. I'm looking for that places where they're hiding up away from that sun, and I'm going to throw that big worm in there.
So are you looking deeper, though, like 25, 30 foot? Or
I'll still play around that depth. I mean, I'm using a heavier shaky head.
What do you normally throw?
A quarter ounce.
Quarter ounce?
Yeah, I throw quarter ounce all the time.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Why?
I'm
not saying you're wrong. I'm asking why it's so heavy.
The way I'm fishing, those fish they're looking for a big meal anyway. I want to get it down there to them. I've had such good luck with a quarter ounce that I don't fish. I do keep it 3/16. I keep 8s, and I keep all that stuff. But I've caught some really nice fish with a quarter ounce with a big worm on it, and it just works for me. So if I want to go out deeper, I've got it. I mean, I guess I could retie, but 2 rods.
No, I got you.
I just like it.
If I put a ½ ounce shaky head on, my God, I feel like I'm just pulling sludge.
I'm just quarter ounce. It's not ½ ounce.
Oh, I thought he said half.
No, quarter ounce.
No, I said quarter.
Oh, the hell, that's my bad.
Yeah, that's not.
Because listen, in my mind, I'm like, damn, Tony.
Well, Dave Aldridge said he's out there at Gunnersville fishing the 5/8.
Yeah. I don't know why it registered as ½ ounce in my head. Because that's why I went half, and that's why I was like, damn, that's heavy. Now, Georgia Country Boy says depends on the lake, but a nighttime spinnerbait's hard to beat. T-Tom's Texas Rig Wormer Shaky Head, live for that thump. Tim, your favorite overall heat of summer technique or bait?
Wobble head with a critter bait on it.
I knew it. I knew the wobble head was coming out at some point.
I'm like you with that wacky rig. If I can find me a ledge or something where I can burn that thing along with some rocks, I'm going to do it because they will bite it.
The key to that wobble head bite with you with a critter bait was what you just said. You burn it.
Yeah.
You're not working it like a shaky head, right?
Smoke that thing.
On the bottom.
A 3/4 ounce with a critter bait on the back of it.
Now, what time of day are you throwing that?
Whenever.
Night too.
Yeah, you can throw it at night.
But you throw it mostly during the day.
If you can find, you've got to have the terrain to use it in.
Yeah.
But if you can find some rocks, pea gravel, big old clay bank, and those fish are just sitting there lethargic.
Yeah.
Smoke that thing right through the middle of them. One of them will attack it. So
so Lip Sticker says an old monster, which I get that too. Let's see. Jonah Fordesha. What's up, Jonah? Wobble, baby. Right there.
Yeah.
Ron says if you're fishing a big worm, that added weight on that shaky, it gets that big old worm down faster. But James Archer wants to know, what critter are you throwing on the back of your wobble head?
I prefer a Missile Baits D-bomb, or you can go up to like an adrenaline crawl or a Zoom Z crawl.
Yeah.
And it just depends on the hook. You can go down to a 3/0 hook and use smaller critter bait, or if half of those 3/4 you buy, if they're already manufactured, they got a darn hook on them that's like a 5. So you're going to have to put a big bait on it unless you want to get the heads you snap on.
Okay, I got that. Lip Sticker says his personal favorite is the flutter. Flutter spoon. That's his personal favorite right there. It's a flutter spoon. See, but listen, Kevin's a different breed of cat, dude.
He is.
He's a different breed of cat. And I tell you what, just because since I ain't got to answer that question, first person in the comment section that can guess what I would probably be throwing, I'm going to send you a 6-inch flutter spoon.
Uh-oh.
First person in the comment section that takes a wild guess as to what I would be throwing first. See how much you guys know me. Let's see in the comment section. And if you don't know this
is going to be the one that stumps them worse than the other one.
You know what? That would be so disappointing. Cranking and yanking. Wacky worm right there. Weightless wacky. And I tell you what I'll do is I'll go. Oh, Alex, you were close.
Alex, you can't play.
Wait a second. Yeah, cranking. Look at them. Look, them got. A crankbait, I hope that's your personal favorite. Might got wacky rig or shaky it. So cranking and yanking. You got to get on Facebook and send me your address. I'm gonna send you one of those. So what I like to do is go to docks that are over deep, like 20, 30-foot docks that got that kind of water underneath them. Throw a weightless wacky up under there and just let it slowly drop down. You won't get bit on every one of them, but generally on a deeper water dock, what you catch is going to be pretty good quality right there. Now, Mendel Bird, we're going to ban him for saying whopper plopper. Now, unless that's your favorite, Mendel. If that's your favorite.
I'm hoping he said that's his favorite.
You can stay. But if you said that's my favorite, we're going to ban you, man. Okay, but wacky rig, yeah, that's it. But it's just a confidence. So like what you said was a wobble head. That's your confidence in the heat.
Yeah.
And yours was what now, Tony? What'd you shaky head?
Shaky.
Yeah, is that because of confidence, or you just think you're gonna put? I mean, why do that?
I just catch fish with it. I mean, it's confidence. I mean, it works.
Yeah.
I mean, I took my wife night fishing a couple of years ago. We did an Ironman tournament from 5 in the evening until 5 in the morning.
Good Lord.
Yeah, that was rough for her.
With your wife?
Yes, her first time ever fishing a night tournament. We did a 12-hour tournament.
And you did that to her?
Oh, yeah.
Well,
I got
That's
a picture.
gangster right there.
There's a video on TikTok of how it ended. She's sprawled out in the seat. And I'm hollering for the net, but
they have a good relationship.
oh yeah.
Yeah,
as much
he's
as
still breathing.
Listen, and you guys know my wife. We talked about her earlier. She's a pistol. As much as I love my wife, if she even would fish with me, there is no way in hell I'm doing a 5 p.m. to 5 a.m. tournament.
Yep.
Oh my Lord.
I
be
wouldn't
dead.
survive on the boat with that woman for that long.
Hey,
Yeah, it's true. She'd kill me.
Listen, she brings snacks. She said,
Oh, she brings food.
She fishes, but I put her on a shaky head, watermelon red, throwing near dock lights, and she catches a dang near 3.5 spot on Wedowee, which is a good spot for us.
Yeah.
For her. And she was just so excited. Now, she did tell me after that, we fished one other tournament. It was a little 3-hour deal. She told me she was never fishing another night tournament. She did not like running around the lake at night.
Yeah.
She hated that part. But yeah, she did good. She did real
But
good.
that's one thing about summertime fishing in the heat, especially on a big reservoir. It doesn't matter where you are in the nation. You about have to fish either before 10 a.m. or in the evening into the night because of all the boat traffic.
Oh yeah, it's horrible.
All right. How late will you stay out on a night trip? Landrum 45 wants to know.
I don't do it much anymore, but I mean, like I said, we did that 12-hour. I mean, if they're we're talking about just a fishing day or a tournament. I mean, if it's a fishing tournament, stay the whole time. But
yeah, but if you were just going out fun fishing,
if they're biting, I'm staying. If I'm gonna stay, I mean, I'm already gonna be up anyway.
yeah,
I mean, might as well stay till daylight. At that point.
yeah, I'll put it in the comment section. Not comment section. After tomorrow, when I get in the shop, I'll link Bill Payne's nighttime video that we did. So you guys can scroll, or you can go look for it yourself. But remember, I mentioned it earlier. He said that 9 right after dark till like 11, there's always that little lull that always slow down. In the
It's
heat
a
of
struggle
summer.
right through them.
I think that right there will drive, if that's true, and that's the more common occurrence, I don't think a lot of guys will stay out on the water past that. They're kind of like, they're not biting. You got to be a diehard to go ahead and run that through 11, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning until they start biting. You got to be out there.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, that Ironman tournament, we didn't have a lot of boats show up for it, but the guys at about 1 o'clock, he called and he talking about that lull. He called and said, "Hey, what do you got?" Well, I told him what I had. He goes, "Okay, I'll let you know." About an hour later, he called, "We're fishing till 5." They found them. That bite window opened up. And I would have been, I can't say I would have won it, but we would have been sitting pretty good. We had a nice largemouth, several nice spots. But the other thing that we encountered is trying to keep fish alive for 12 hours in a boat.
Yeah.
Holy
You know
moly.
what? I didn't even think about that, especially at night.
That's a
I
long
learned how
time
to
for them.
fizz sitting at the end of a dock, pulling up a video because I had the needles and everything in the boat. I'd never done it. And I fizzed every fish except for the largemouth. All the spots had to be fizzed and still lost one, the smallest one. We still lost it by the end of the night. But the rest of them made it, on fizzing it. But yeah, that was a rough tournament.
That's the one thing we haven't talked about tonight is fish care. And I'm not the expert on it. Like next time Underwood,
Yeah.
Underwood has that Aqualung or whatever the hell that stuff is and all that. But when we had to, a lot of people put ice in their boats.
Yep.
But when we had that biologist, when we had Colin Steele on, if you remember, I think it was him that said that's kind of one of the worst things you could. Somebody said that's kind of one of the worst things you can do to start off with.
Yeah.
You want to put the fish in warmer water and add a little bit of ice as the day goes on, because you actually can shock a fish by putting them from hot water, which happens in July and August, into just ice cold ice bath. I mean, think about what it does.
You
to
cool
us.
them things down, even on any tournament. You cool them down, yeah, they might be fine and happy in the box, and you're fixing to go throw them in surface temperature water down there. That's not healthy at all.
Yeah.
For
What I do is I freeze Gatorade bottles.
Yeah.
And I drop one in and let it get the water temperature, cool the water temperature enough that we're not throwing a bag of ice in there at one time.
Yeah.
I do one at a time. And as the night goes on, I carry 7 or 8 of them when I was doing it, and just one, they don't take long for those things to melt either. I mean, they'll melt. They still hold that cool temperature.
Yeah. Their body temp is the same as the water for sure. But when you bring them out of 97, which that might be extreme, but you bring them out of 90-degree water and stick them in 60, that's a shock. Think about you getting in a shower just as a human. You think it's hot water and it's cold.
Yep.
One of the funniest things I ever did, my wife goes, draw me a bath. And I felt like, okay, well, I'll be your servant tonight. So I went in there, I turned the whole bathtub in cold water, and I ran it all, filled that whole thing up in cold water. She stepped in that. I ain't never heard her cuss me so bad, like crazy. But somebody, I think it was Andy Miller, mentioned the best thing about taking your wife fishing is the snacks. They're like a convenience store.
Oh, yeah, they'll come loaded with food.
What happened when I told my wife earlier to have some supper ready for me when I got home, Tim?
You're eating cereal, apparently.
That didn't go well. I'll leave that at that, because she'll get me too. So I'm not.
Yeah, you're gonna be with us.
Yeah, I'm not dumb. I've lived a long time.
You're being nice to my wife tonight like that.
Yeah,
she's great, but she ain't about that staying up late cooking for me.
No,
you're a
she
big
told
boy.
you.
You fend for yourself. Go on down to Messick Outdoors right there. Our night tournaments run from 6 p.m. to 1 a.m., and they definitely have a lull until about 10 to 11.
Oh, yeah.
So Mr. Bill Payne is right again.
Yeah.
I think but I also think that deters a lot of guys that are just out fun fishing.
Yeah.
If you're at a tournament, you're going to stay to 1 a.m.
Right.
Or 5 a.m. like you crazy fools.
Yeah.
When Kevin and I were fishing those nighttime tournaments, we got most of our fish right before or at dark, maybe in that little window, and then we might pick up a few good ones right before we were having to pick up and get away in.
Mm-hmm. Crank It in Yankton says a square bill is very versatile in the summertime. Fish it fast, slow, jerk it, different depths.
Yep.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense like that. What is the one thing what would be the last thing you would try in the summer? Like you've gone through all your confidence stuff.
Oh,
I don't know.
We have that.
Think on that one. I have to think on that one.
What do you guys do if you show up to the lake and there is a mayfly hatch?
Hope you got a face mask and some good clear goggles.
Because
you're going to eat it.
Throw into one of them trees and get covered in mayflies.
Right, yeah. You're going to get covered in them or eat them on the way back flying across the lake.
Listen, we were on Carter's rear egg, me and Josh, and the wind was kind of blowing and we didn't have a lot of battery left, and kind of pushed us up underneath the bank, right under a tree or a couple overhanging that had 5 million of those things. And we're having to save what little battery we had left to get back to weigh in. We had them damn things in our mouth. Oh, yeah. And it's
Were you
awful.
doing the heebie-jeebie dance like something's on me?
Yeah. Once we figured out they weren't stinging or biting us, it was awful. T-Tom says glow-in-the-dark scented baits. Now, I get what you're saying. In Michigan, when we were trolling for those lake trout, their spoons, like these big flutter spoons that they would downrig, you put a lot of them are glow in the dark, and they would glow, and that's what they would use because you're down at 90 feet, 100 feet, and they're using glow in the dark spoons. So maybe in Michigan it works, but here I don't know. Let's see. Somebody, what else? Pull up old Alex. Right there. I think it depends on the day. Sometimes it dies off here and there for me. Other times it's light out there the whole time. I don't know. I was just going to make sure because I didn't want Alex to sull up. So I just said, I'm going to read one of his comments, but he must be talking to somebody up there in the thing.
Talking about the time of the lull.
The lull. Okay, I get what he says.
Yeah, it's not that there's no bite, but it definitely slacks off at those times. And it picks back up.
Pull up David's right there. David Weaver is right under Alex's right there. Okay, I know when it gets dark, the fish get very shallow chasing the bait. Mm-hmm. Now, how about shallow? I mean, at nighttime, with whatever you're throwing? Because if we're throwing big nighttime spinner baits, it's usually at the end of a point on some rocks or something.
Right.
You may chunk it up, but I know a lot of guys fish humps with them out in the middle.
Right.
So it is shallower, but you're still in 20 foot of water.
The bigger fish I was picking up at night were 16, 17 foot.
A little bit deeper.
Yeah, they were out on humps or big rocks that were out in deeper water.
That Ironman tournament, the first big largemouth I caught, it was sitting. So there was a dot with green lights around the perimeter of it, not necessarily in the water, but it was giving that green light hue,
Right.
About 2 docks over, right next to the back dock pole and the wall was where the largemouth was sitting. He was almost still sitting in the shade in that shallow water.
Yeah.
And that's where he was sitting at. It was probably 4 to 5 foot. We're talking with Alex.
And I wonder if it's a difference in the largemouth will still stay up a little bit shallower, but the spots stay out a little bit.
Yeah, the spots were sitting in 25 foot.
I like Patricia Leanne's comment right there. I think these lures are catching y'all. Hey, there's 2 types of lures in this world. Ones that catch fish and the rest catch anglers.
That's right.
Absolutely.
But Steven wants to know, do y'all ever try a big glide bait at night? Hell, I don't throw them during the daytime, but you guys do.
I'm going to. Well, so
you going to do it at night?
The other day, I'm trying to learn to glide bait, so I put all my videos out there of me catching and losing fish. I went out an hour before daylight. Now the sun has started to you get that glow on the horizon, and largemouth sitting at the end of a dock pole on a glide bait, hammered it, and he didn't stay pinned up, but he jumped out of the water so I could see him.
David Weaver says we fishing as shallow as 2 to 3 foot on Lanier, even in the summer. Now, David, in the comment section, when you do that, do you find you're catching more largemouth or spots? Because we're talking about Lanier with that. I'd be curious to see which one you're catching.
Mm-hmm.
Look at Philip Hutchinson's getting David Weaver's IG and all that. He's got an OnlyFans too, Philip.
Yeah.
Okay.
Making connections.
Making connections in the comment section.
Yeah.
Andy Miller says a big rat bait, shallower night. John Aldred would love that because he likes throwing that rat.
He'd be all about that.
You ever throwed one of them big rat baits in the summertime?
I have not.
Have you?
I hadn't. No, I've seen some guys here recently on Instagram or wherever I saw it. They were throwing these big rat baits, and they're catching them. But I hadn't seen it.
I haven't done it, but we might try it. Alex says I throw a spinner bait up onto the shore next to a dock or a lay down and hop it into the water. So he throws it on the shore.
Yeah.
Which is his way of saying I made a bad cast just on the shore.
No, that's something I was taught as a kid.
Really?
Spooky fish, yeah. Uncle Gene, when I was 10, 12 years old, and he'd be like, if you can, he'd be like, throw it up there right in the edge and drag it off in the water and give it a quick jerk to get it straight.
Oh, yeah.
And then come back. And believe it or not, it's like it doesn't spook them. It's just something comes swimming by.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then he says, you get 2 or 3 turns on the reel, and they'll be ripping it out of your hand.
Yep, it surprises the heck out of them.
I tell you what, we haven't even talked about the horny toad. I was going to talk about the horny toad because it's a great summertime, especially.
You're right. We didn't talk about any of the little toads with the little kickers on.
We didn't talk about the horny toad. We got a few minutes, so we'll talk about that. But when I would go with Ryan, and he's the one that was showing me the horny toad techniques that he uses, you can go, it don't matter how hot it is. You can go in the back of a creek on Lake Lanier, and I imagine you can replicate this at any lake, where it looks like there's 1 foot of water and you don't see a bass anywhere. And you chunk that joker back in there, especially if there's a down log or something.
Yeah.
And you'll be amazed at what just shows up.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Now, he also throws them, skips them under docks and that stuff. But a lot of people overlook the very back of a creek in the middle of summer because it just looks like crap. And I say creek, a dry creek bed or something like that.
Right.
Where it just looks like trash.
I've been with guys, and we would fish down in maybe a little cut, and I'll keep a ribbon tail worm tied on sometimes just to pitch back there, and they would turn and go back out. And I was like, hey,
yeah,
let me throw at this back here at least once or twice. And they're like, why? It's trash. And I was like, yeah, largemouth.
It's amazing how a largemouth just shows up out of nowhere because you think you see everything there.
Yeah, they're hid.
They're hid. So let me ask you this: on your ribbon tail,
yes,
color.
Usually, what is it? Tequila sunrise.
Tequila sunrise.
Yeah, if it's during the hot time of the summertime, I'd put a tequila sunrise. Just a regular 7-inch one, nothing extravagant.
Okay. All right. Well,
Texas rig it, or he'll put it on shaky head. Throw it
yeah,
back there.
yeah. If you're throwing a horny toad or anything like that, do you throw one a lot, Tony?
No, I don't throw a horny toad a whole lot.
So Ryan's throwing a white. No matter what, he throws white.
That's the only color he knows they make.
Really? And if he goes to a store where there's 10 packs of them, he's gonna buy all 10.
Yeah, I'm
Like
down with
that.
it.
Let's see. David doesn't know about all the big trout I've gotten folks on the river yet. David, he catches some big trout. There's no doubt about that for sure. Anything we've missed tonight as far as summertime techniques, summertime baits? I mean, hell, we've been all over the place. I had a really good plan to go morning, midday, early afternoon, late afternoon, night, but we just went all over the place.
It was a cloudy day, so it was all of the above in one show. Yeah.
Yeah, so Crankin and Yankin said, I've always heard black lures at night. So we mentioned that a little bit, but we always have, Crankin and Yankin, we always have this debate.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
We always have this debate, and I held up the Georgia Blade spinner bait, but they also make one that's white and with a white spoon, and they also make a pink one with a pink spoon, and they are classified as nighttime spinner baits. So the big thing is the conventional wisdom is throw black at night because you want to see that silhouette, right? Am I? That sounds right.
That's spot on.
But a silver shad doesn't turn black at night. So you could, wouldn't a white, if you're looking up, if you're a fish and you're looking up, got some moonlight, and you pull a white spinner bait over, it's not going to look white. It's still going to throw off a dark silhouette.
Yep.
But it's always, it's always interesting, that argument.
They're attacking because that lateral line at night a lot of times.
They're running on radar. Alex brought up that we hadn't talked too much about a jig.
Yeah.
We touched base on it a little bit.
I throw it during the day. I would not throw it at night, and I don't know why.
That largemouth I was talking about in that Ironman, it was on jig, black and blue with a June bug trailer.
If you got rock where you can bang it on there, where you can pop it and let it bang in the rocks.
You got to still be working for a reaction.
Yeah,
bite.
you're still going to be running for them fishing on lateral line radar.
Crankin' Yankee says, "Don't confuse me. I'm throwing black."
Yeah.
And you can't go wrong with it.
No, you're not wrong.
But for those of us of limited knowledge that want to know why, it is an interesting thing. Now, Lipsticker says, "Is anybody throwing the cubes or dice?"
No, not me.
I throwed a couple.
I made a bunch of them things, and I tried them out, and I just couldn't commit to it.
We did. So we did a little engineering here with some old plastics. Y'all made some, and we tried that. I threw it on a drop shot one time, and after about 5 casts, I'm like, this ain't gonna work.
That was me. It was like I kept trying. I caught one hell of a brim on it though.
You caught brim on your dice bait?
Oh, dude, that thing was that big.
Maybe we should make bigger dice baits.
Yeah,
maybe ours were too small.
I threw it out there, and Alex, I got some molds and stuff for it. I'll bring them to you. You can make your own and let us know how it works out.
Yeah, I think I still got the ones you gave me somewhere here.
Probably so. Yeah, I made all sorts of little odd ones.
It was pretty funny though. But no, Alex said I've had some ideas about making my own dice style baits. They eat it at night. Really? Jerry, which 20 toads are you guys using? Zoom. Yeah, that's it. That's the ones that we use. Now I got this one right here. Now
that's the color I got.
It's bullfrog, ain't it?
Got black, white, and the bullfrog.
Yeah.
So
you can't go wrong choosing one of those 3 colors.
I think, damn, I can't open the damn thing.
Childproof.
Childproof.
Yeah.
So yeah, this one's got the green pumpkin on top with the greenish yellow body. But to me, if I'm in a farm pond or a largemouth lake, in my mind, this is the color I'm throwing.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, I've seen guys throw that white over at Latham, Ryan on Lanier, and their thing is, well, fish is looking up, they see a white belly anyway, like that. But this is what we throw, and the way we throw it, the best way and this is again, Ryan taught me this, is you get one of those weighted hooks with the screw lock. So you screw it on there, the weight's to the bottom, and the reason with the Zoom is it keeps it from rolling. And it also keeps the head down a little bit.
Yeah.
So when you are reeling it, you're not blowing it out. And you don't have to go with a real heavy weight. And Ryan throws his on straight braid. Even though he throws it on straight braid.
So he's just chunking and winding?
chunking and
Yep.
winding. He will throw that in
About a
some
16th,
serious.
16th out weighted hook. Or
Maybe.
maybe.
You know, I mean, not one of them real heavy ones.
no. Not too much weight.
Steven says Z-Man goats are great toads also.
Yeah.
And the only color they see is on the bottom, cranking and yanking. And that's true. That is very true. But I'm just thinking if I was a largemouth in a farm pond and I'm looking at this, that just looks like something I eat.
Yeah.
But it is the one little thing though with a horny toad. It's like every topwater or something like that. Let them get it before you set the hook on that thing, because you don't know how many of these things, when you really quick about it, you're jerking them out of that mouth. 3/32 weight hook works well, says Ron Swinford.
Yeah.
And that's about right. You don't go too heavy.
Yeah, just very
Just
light.
enough to keep it from rolling, because I don't know about the other brands, but if you put a weightless hook on a horny toad, it's going to roll. The body will roll.
Just about any of them.
Or turn upside down.
Yeah, it'll be upside down coming back at you.
Yeah, so. All right, guys, with that, we've gone 2 hours. These guys got a long drive to get home and all that. So, hey, we had some good conversations. We went all over the place. Appreciate Big Al joining us. Now, you guys in the comment section, as always, were fantastic. If you're going to be on the water this weekend, according to these guys, you better start drinking water now.
Hydrate, hydrate, hydrate.
And we ain't talking about Coors. Drink your water, drink your Gatorade,
You drink
your
that
liquid
extra
IV and all
hydrate.
that. But also, too, hey, listen, seriously, we're seeing it a lot with accidents on the lakes everywhere and all that. And I don't want it to be anybody, but I sure don't want it to be one of you guys that join us. So wherever you're going to go fishing, make sure you stay safe. Keep an eye out for all the fools on the water. Okay. And body armor for me, cranking and yanking.
There you go.
Hey, listen, right here. I hate to say it, but I'll drink 4 or 5 of these during the day. That's probably why I don't catch no fish. So, Kevin, you hung through the whole time. Good night to you, sir. Hey, listen, the show is only great because you guys out there are great. So we appreciate our community. You guys go catch some more fish. We'll see you next Tuesday with another live well. So y'all be safe out there. We love you. We appreciate you.